right, welcome back to the party, everybody. This is Morty, and I'm your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Everybody hit that like and subscribe. You know I would do it for you. And let's party. Big shout out to the replay gang. Thank you so much for coming back to watch this, even though you missed the live party. Guys, that is the best part. So make sure you are here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it. So hit that subscribe, ring the bell, and you will never miss an Indian Jesus live party ever again. If you'd like to support the channel, head on over to TheIndianJesus.com for your very own official Indian Jesus merch. Only at the Indian. Well, where's the rest of them? There's more there. At TheIndianJesus.com. Guys, we do also have a completely free Discord server that you can join right now. 24/7, we are in there hanging out. It is a great place to meet people, have interesting conversations, and like I said, it's free. However, if you join this channel as a member, you can scroll right below the video here, hit that join button. It's a couple different levels here, but it just starts at $2.99 a month, and you get not only members-only live streams here on YouTube, all that good stuff, but it opens up the full Discord server, which includes our after party channel. So as soon as we are done here, we are going to be headed over to the Discord after party for members only, where we don't have to worry about these YouTube censors, and you are not stuck behind your keyboard. You're actually on screen with me and everybody else. It is a good time. You should definitely come and join us. Shout out to King Nirvana in the building. We got our boy Nick, moderator to the stars, and Morty's coming on up here. All right, let's get this party started. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Very good to see you guys. So yeah, it seems like Tucker Carlson has been doing the damn thing. He's been all over the place, talking with Glenn Beck, talking with Tulsi Gabbard, and what we will be covering tonight is the three-way of Tucker, Vivek Ramaswamy, and RFK Jr. And so the way that this is played out, Tucker kind of gives a speech, and then it's Tucker and Vivek, and then it's the three of them. But I figure we want to get all the good. So let's just start with the three of them, and then we'll go back and depending on what you guys want to see. All right. So as always, guys, if you cannot hear the video, please do let me know.
I've spent my whole life really despising politicians, not just on principle, but also personally. As people,
shit, me too.
Well, and I feel that way about most of them still, with a lot of evidence. But I have to say, I look around and there are more people I admire, I can't believe I'm saying this, in politics than really at any time I can remember. And I think there's so much pressure, downward exerted pressure on all of us to obey, to repeat the lies, to get in line, that the people who refuse to do that are extraordinary people. And our special guest tonight, who I'm about to ask on, is one of those people. And he's in the rare position of, typically, you know, a public career begins and people are so impressed by the person and then they see his flaws and he falls from grace. The person we're about to invite on is the only person I've ever met who spent, I don't know, 20 years being denounced pretty much every week by every single news organization in the world as a dangerous, mentally ill lunatic, making totally unsupported, anti-scientific claims.
Guess not.
About totally safe medical products. And this man, in the face of opposition that no politician I've ever seen, including from within his own tribe and family, he persisted in saying what he thought was true.
Now, as we, I know we're jumping around, and I want to start with the three of them, but I watched this in order, and like obviously this is a Tucker event. It was in Anaheim, California, and RFK got the biggest boom of applause out of the three of them. It's crazy.
And I've known this man for a while, and I've admired him for a long time. And what's amazing is to wake up in a country that in some ways is not getting better, but to wake up in a country that all of a sudden has stopped mocking this man as a crazy person and has started to realize that the lone brave voice may have been right all along. And
listen to them.
So it's an honor to introduce Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So we had this conversation last week that I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of people on camera, but the conversation that we had, or the things that you said to me last week, I will not forget. And it's, from an outsider's perspective, it seems like your public career is not only not ended in some way, it's beginning in a new way, in a really powerful way. And you described,
in a MAGA way.
You described 3 issues that are central, not just to your politics, but to your life. And if I'm remembering correctly, I think they were slowing down the number of people who are killed abroad in wars. Okay, we have a lot of wars.
Like
Opposing the pointless ones. Protecting the natural environment that God created for us to enjoy, nature, and protecting the health of children. And I think those are the 3 things you mentioned. I'm wondering if you could just expand on that.
Horrible guy who stands up for stuff like that. They love him. And obviously they cut out when he first walked out.
I got into, my career was, most of it was spent in environmental protection. And I went to work in 1983 for a blue-collar coalition of commercial and recreational fishermen who mobilized to reclaim the Hudson River from its polluters. And they were people who were capitalists. They came from an industry that was 350 years old. It's the oldest commercial fishery in North America on the Hudson River. And they saw this industry destroyed, not because it had any intrinsic flaws, but because a large company, the General Electric Company, had been able to use its political clout to do something illegal, which was to dump its toxic PCBs into the Hudson River.
And remember, this is something that used to be like the left, the hippies, all that stuff. That was the left wing.
And when I first started working on the Hudson, there were 2,500 families working on the river, enriching our culture, our palate, our economy, the life of the Hudson Valley, connecting us to our history, to our landscapes, to the waterways, and 10, 20,000 generations of human beings that were here before there were laptops. They were using the same fishing methods that were taught by the Algonquin Indians to the original Dutch settlers in New Amsterdam, and then passed down through the generations.
Hey, shout out to Nix. I got a text from my cousin responding with a link to the stream. Let's see if it works. Thank you so very much, sir. Again, those shares help the channel out so much, whether the person clicks or not. Thank you, sir.
And all of a sudden, they couldn't fish anymore because there were plenty of fish in the Hudson, but they were loaded with toxic PCBs, and the state of New York said you can't eat them. And they recognized that, these were capitalists. They were people, small business people. And they realized that government was in cahoots with the polluters. And that if they wanted to reclaim the river for themselves, they were going to have to do it themselves. They went to the government agencies, the Corps of Engineers, the Conservation Department, the Coast Guard, and they were given the bum's rush. They were told.
Yeah, I mean, well, like the old saying goes, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself.
These are important people. We can't force them to comply with the law. And they came to the conclusion the only way they were going to restore the river is if they confronted the polluters directly. They found an ancient navigational statute called the 1888 Rivers and Harbors Act that allowed people to prosecute polluters and then collect bounties.
Oh, yeah.
And they started suing polluters. They hired me as their attorney in 1984.
And so when he's saying polluters, he's talking about, these bigger corporations.
We brought cases against over 500 successful cases on the Hudson. We forced polluters to spend about $5.5 billion remediating the river. And today, the Hudson is the richest waterway in the North Atlantic.
Shout out to the Hudson. Hell yeah. Jersey born and raised. Shout out to Harley. Welcome to the party. Very, very, very good to see you. Yeah, even if they don't use it, because here's the thing, the way YouTube sees it, it's like, YouTube isn't really trying to measure who you are. YouTube is trying to measure what this channel is. And so regardless of if you have 1,000 friends or if you have one friend, if YouTube sees, oh, this is a video that people are going to take on other platforms and bring them onto YouTube, even if you don't have a lot of people to share it out to, the fact that it was shared, it's like, oh, YouTube's going to say, oh, well, let's show it to other people so that they share it, and maybe they'll have a lot of friends. So it doesn't, that's a oh, it wouldn't work for me. I don't really know anybody. That it doesn't matter. It does not matter. It helps out so much. Thank you.
In the river, and today the Hudson is the richest waterway in the North Atlantic. And my experience was different than a lot of environmentalists who have a kind of look but don't touch. My experience was,
wait, you didn't glue yourself to a highway or something?
About people who their communities were absolutely, the people who were part of that commercial fishery. It dictated the purity of the Hudsons, the abundance of the fishery dictated their livelihoods, their property values, their recreational values.
It's almost like there's a natural ecosystem to the way humans live, even if it comes with technology and civilization. It's almost like that's still natural.
It was their social safety net. If you lost your job, you could still fish. You could feed your family. Mm-hmm. And that was something that the state of New York, the Constitution of the state says the people of the state own the rivers, they own the waterways of the state. They're not owned by the Conservation Department. They're not owned by the General Electric Company. They're not owned by the big polluters. They're owned by the people. Everybody has a right to use them.
That's the people's land. And water.
Nobody can use them in a way that will diminish or injure their use and enjoyment by others. Every child in New York has a constitutional right to throw a plug into the river and bring out a striped bass and bring it home and feed it to their family.
Yeah, and this again is something that might come off as like a partisan message where you're talking about freedom. I should have the freedom to do this, or the other side might say that we need to make sure that these people are allowed to do this. But when it comes down to it, we're talking about government rights versus individual rights, and how that should play out. It's a very simple thing we should all agree with, but on either side of the aisle. The government doesn't own that land; the people do.
That was the essential, that lesson that I learned there about agency capture then allowed me to kind of understand, have a model or a blueprint for the things that I saw when I started studying the pharmaceutical industry. And so those are critical issues. The other is I came into this campaign, 3 major issues. One was the censorship. And you and I feel the same way.
And again, something that usually is framed in one side or the other. But again, bipartisan issue.
Any government that can silence its critics has a license for any kind of atrocity. And
dilly to that. Any government that can what is it? Any government that can silence its critics
has a license for any kind of atrocity.
For any kind of atrocities. That is scary. Hey, we got Soil to Soul over on Rumble. Welcome. So tell me how I got a Rumble notification, but not YouTube. Freaking commies. I'll watch here for the algorithm. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. We also got Damaris in the building. Welcome to the party. Party says, will people find clear water more attractive than brown water? Yup. That's how that works.
And
can I just repeat that? Any government that can silence its critics has a license for any kind of atrocity. Put that on your refrigerator, because that's true.
Like a bumper sticker out of that.
Hamilton, Adams, and Madison said that we put the freedom of speech in the First Amendment because all the other rights are dependent on it. And sure enough, when the government discovered that it could censor our speech in early 2020, silence doctors, silence mothers, silence people who were, people scientists. who were saying, wait, there are other alternatives. So what you're doing, the lockdowns aren't going to work. The masks have no science behind them. The social distancing has no science.
You remember when they were saying, name one conspiracy about the COVID stuff that didn't come true? Like all of them?
Right? Those people were silenced. They were marginalized. They were vilified. They were demonized. And as soon as the government figured out that it could get away with that, it went after all of our other constitutional rights. The first thing it did is it went after the other leg of the First Amendment, which is freedom of religion.
Mm-hmm.
It closed every church in our country for a year with no scientific citation.
No scientific citation. Even as an atheist who maybe wants to see the churches close their doors for good, certainly not by the hands of the government. Certainly not. I want the churches to close because people are getting their spiritual fulfillment in other places just as Americans, and they don't need churches anymore. I don't want the government saying you can't, practice your faith. Hell no.
It went after the third leg of the First Amendment, which is freedom of assembly, with these very bizarre social distancing regulations that, again, they now admit were not science-based.
They just, when they say you can't make this shit up, they literally made that shit up.
They went after then the Fifth Amendment, which is property rights. They closed 3.3 million businesses with no due process, no just compensation, no scientific citation, no notice and comment rulemaking, no public hearings, all the things that I've been suing governments and corporations for 40 years, all the indicia of democracy that are.
I wonder how many people, maybe not the very first time, but I wonder how many people who are there for Tucker, or maybe not even there specifically, but watching this, who aren't really familiar with who RFK is. It's very, I imagine that it's very easy to just kind of let him be, some guy in the background. It's hard to listen to his voice if you don't really care, and people are bashing him and all that stuff. I don't know, do some kind of test of like, okay, when the average sneeze is 5 feet and 6 inches, so let's add an extra 6 and call it 6 feet or whatever. That would at least be science. They just said it. That's not science. But yeah, I wonder how many people are starting to realize, or maybe a better way to put it is, I wonder how effective this is at breaking through this paradigm of mere left and right. We've known that left versus right is way too simplistic, but in terms of the general talking points, we all use liberal versus conservative, or left versus right, Democrat versus Republican, whatever. But we understand that it gets deeper than that. But a lot of people don't. A lot of people just understand there's the good team and there's the bad team, and so stuff like this is, or at least can be, very effective at reaching people who just didn't know enough to realize, like, oh, wait, it's not that simple, because we all know somebody who thinks it's just that simple. Trump bad, so anybody who's not Trump is good. And then you see somebody who's a Kennedy, a literal Kennedy. And, Tulsi was at, I don't know if it was the same event or a different live event or whatever, but you see the crossing of lines, and you see that it's not left versus right. It's about the people versus the establishment. And I know, we know that we've been saying that forever. But again, it's about people waking up to that. And, maybe this messaging isn't brand new stuff that you've never heard before. But, and I mean, nobody else is really saying it. He's kind of just saying his opening, and they're going to get into it a little bit more. But I really think this has not only has the ability to do a lot there, but it also can be very like I said, very effective at kind of breaking that paradigm of people thinking that there's only two sides and you have to pick one. It ain't like that. Just because you can only cast one vote doesn't mean you have to pick a side and the other side is your enemy. Nick said, I feel like he is not known as well as he should be. It's probably just being a Kennedy that most people know him for. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know much about him before, but I guess it was this election cycle. But yeah, I mean, I was aware that he was alive, but that's about it. And like Tucker was saying, it's not like he's been in the shadows. He's been talking about this stuff. but he's been shut down, and we're finally, as again Tucker was saying at the beginning, not only starting to accept him, but he was on stage with Trump. I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
That government officials have to go through before they deprive us of rights, and none of that happened. And they went after the Seventh Amendment, which bans jury, which the Seventh Amendment gives us the right to jury trial. The Seventh Amendment is very simple. It says no American shall be denied the right of a trial before a jury of their peers in case there are controversies exceeding $25. That's all it says. Mm-hmm. There's no pandemic exception.
Nope.
And by the way, the framers of the Constitution knew all about pandemics.
Oh, I remember this. Let's back this up from this part. If you guys are not listening, if you only listen to one thing that RFK says tonight, listen to this. Back it up a little bit. Pay attention.
It says there's no pandemic exception. And by the way, the framers of the Constitution knew all about pandemics. There were two epidemics during the Revolutionary War. One of them, a malaria epidemic that decimated the armies of Virginia, and then a smallpox epidemic that decimated the armies of New England at the very time when Benedict Arnold, who was our greatest general, conquered Montreal. So we were in the inner city of Montreal. We controlled Montreal, which meant we controlled Canada. And he had to withdraw his troops because he could not hold the city because so many of his troops were down with smallpox. Otherwise, Canada today would be part of the United States, but for that smallpox epidemic. Mm-hmm. And the framers all knew that.
The framers all knew that. So all this talk about how, the Constitution, but they wrote that understanding what a pandemic was. And guess what? Those were worse than COVID.
When they got
and King, I agree with you. I think that it's just something that you got to get used to. At first, I was like, "Oh man, like this is grating." But when you start to see that he actually does have a lot of good things to say, your brain wants to push through it, and then it doesn't get easy, but you get used to it. We got Am in the building. Welcome to the party. I was asking, so which, who are they suppressing? RFK, Vivek, or Tucker, or all three? Could be any one of them. Because we got, all right, well, people are trickling in. We got 8 people in here now. Let's party on.
Now they're 10 years later, 9 years later, Philadelphia to ratify the Bill of Rights.
They knew.
Between the end of the Revolution and the ratification of the Bill of Rights in 1792, there were epidemics in every city that killed tens of thousands of people. Malaria epidemics, smallpox, yellow fever, typhus, typhoid, cholera. So they all knew about epidemics, yet they did not put an epidemic exception in the Constitution. They wrote that document for hard times.
Not for easy times, for the hard times.
One of the things, you bring that up.
All right, there we go. Bring him in.
Bobby, I think one of the things we often fall into the trap of in an election year is to see, let's take the most important of those amendments, the First Amendment, through a partisan lens. Do we have a Democratic Party that has been using social media companies to silence speech through the back door that they could not through the front door? Absolutely, we have.
So are they saying, would you rather listen to him through a voice box? Don't be ableist. And that's a funny joke, but they're literally, I believe it was MSNBC. I don't know. It was one of them, but I believe when RFK was speaking, they cut away from him, and the anchor was like, "Oh, you can't even understand him anyway." It's like, hey, whoa, what? Like, that's not cool. That's not cool at all. Like, yeah, we can make jokes because we're joking. Weird.
Silence speech through the back door that they could not through the front door? Absolutely, we have. Is that something we need to hold them accountable for? Absolutely. But I think that if we're to, and this is one of the things I love about you, Tucker, is you're willing to challenge people 360 degrees. I don't care if you're Republican or not. I had conversations with a number of Republicans in the last week who are railing appropriately against Brazil for its banning of X.
Ooh, we got to make a poll about that. So our running poll right now is, do you want RFK Jr. in Trump's cabinet? And 62% of you said yes. I would definitely be down with that. As far as I understand, those are the plans. So if you haven't heard, Brazil banned Twitter. So I want to ask, how do you feel about X banned in Brazil? Good, bad, or I don't really care. I'm curious to see what you guys say. We got our boy Guam Tech. Welcome to the party. You missed the one. What was the one line? The one line that he said: a government that can, basically, a government that can clamp down on its critics, can do any kind of atrocities. I don't know. It was much better when RFK said it, but other than that, not so much. Actually, you know what? I am going to back this up to that part. You definitely need to see it. So Soil says, in general, I'm really liking the idea of unity between these political personalities. We definitely need it, but the name Unity Party is lame. Yeah, oh yeah, no, that's weak shit. I still prefer America First. Yeah, I mean, the naming with the words, that's, the lefties are good at that. What are you gonna say? They're good at that. But we got better ideas. So what you gonna say? What you gonna say? And said RFK Jr. aligns with a ton of Democratic policies, but doesn't fit the mold with vaccines, big pharma, and agriculture. I wouldn't mind him in the cabinet for those issues, but nothing more. So maybe, yeah, like a big pharma czar. I don't know. I'm just, Kamala was the border czar. I don't know, but yeah. I'm with you, Amber. I think that he needs to have if he's going to be in the cabinet, he needs to have a position that goes to his skill. I don't want him just there because he's a name. I don't want him there just because he's got support. Because a lot of things we don't necessarily agree, and he doesn't agree with Trump. So I think it's important that Trump understands that, and I think, in comparison to 2016, those are the types of decisions that hopefully Trump's going to do better this time around. Harley said, a government that can silence its critics has the license to commit atrocities. There you go. But yeah, what was that last part that,
No pandemic exception.
We're talking about the Constitution. This for you, my boy. This for you.
That's all it says. There's no penalties.
Right there.
The jury trial. The Seventh Amendment is very simple. It says no American shall be denied the right of a trial before a jury of their peers in case there are controversies exceeding $25. That's all it says. There's no pandemic exception. And by the way, the framers of the Constitution knew all about pandemics. There were two epidemics during the Revolutionary War. One of them, a malaria epidemic that decimated the armies of Virginia, and then a smallpox epidemic that decimated the armies of New England at the very time when Benedict Arnold, who was our greatest general, conquered Montreal. So we were in the inner city.
I thought I heard that before. What do I not know?
Greatest general, England, at the very time when Benedict Arnold, who was our greatest general.
I am completely willing to give up this idea, but I thought Benedict Arnold was a traitor. Is that just another government lie? I don't really know the story with Benedict Arnold, but the only reason I know that name is because people would use it as to mean traitor. Weird. If anybody knows, please help me out. If we got something, like a little something on that of what really happened, I would love to be able to clear that up. Because if he's saying the greatest general we ever had was a traitor to our country, a little sus. But yeah, I heard who was it? Nicole Shannon, something like that. But campaign manager or something, someone working high up in Bobby's campaign. She was on with Dave Smith, and they brought up the Make America Healthy Again, the Maha. I was like, that ain't it either. That ain't it either. Maha. That reminds me of that Amanda Bynes thing. We're like, Maha. Yeah, that sounds stupid. And then, yeah, obviously, and we're, you know, again, us acknowledging reality is one thing, but a guy who is antagonistically being like, oh, well, you can't even hear him. Like, okay, maybe it's not the biggest deal in the world to be ableist, but that is ableist for sure. Yeah, it's Nicole Shanahan. I think that sounds right. Shout out to the Funk Master General. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party, sir. Good to see you. Good to see you. Said he was both a great general that turned on his country. Okay, I guess we don't have to do a deep dive. What's the real story on Benedict Arnold? Nick says, yeah, but it's a complicated story. Don't remember well enough. Need a refresher on the history. Yeah, maybe we'll do that tomorrow. We'll see. Yeah, look at that. Killed a fruit fly. Fuck you, fruit flies. Arnold said, yes, he did betray the U.S., but that doesn't mean he was a bad general. He committed treason by helping the British take West Point. Yeah, we definitely got to do a deep dive. That's what assuming nothing comes up, that's what we'll be doing tomorrow. But wow, going back to our poll, how do you feel about X banned in Brazil? I'm glad to say nobody said good, but only 17% said bad, and most of you, 83%, said I don't really care. And I agree with you. Like, it's a bad thing, but I'm not going to use my emotional weight. You have an emotional threshold. You can only take on so much stuff. Like, sorry, Brazil, but should have had a First Amendment. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, let them do what they want to do. Again, I'm not saying it's good, but I'm not, that ain't my business. But anyway, okay, sorry for the little side quest there. Okay, Benedict
At the very time when
there's a point.
Arnold, who was our greatest general, conquered Montreal. So we were in the inner city of Montreal. We controlled Montreal, which meant we controlled Canada. And he had to withdraw his troops because he could not hold the city because so many of his troops were down with smallpox. Otherwise, Canada today would be part of the United States, but for that smallpox epidemic. And the framers all knew that. When they gathered 9 years later, in Philadelphia to ratify the Bill of Rights, between the end of the Revolution and the ratification of the Bill of Rights in 1792, there were epidemics in every city that killed tens of thousands of people. Malaria epidemics, smallpox, yellow fever, typhus, typhoid, cholera. So they all knew about epidemics. Yet
so the point he's making is that, we heard a lot about, the Constitution, yes, but, and the First Amendment, yes, but, and so on and so forth. It's not like even if you want to make the silly arguments about the Second Amendment, the founders didn't know that we would have automatic weapons of war. Like, okay, you can make that argument, but you cannot make the argument that they didn't know about pandemics. And all of the ones he just listed were way worse than COVID. So yeah, that's what you miss, Guanzek. Harley says it was his wife who encouraged him to do it. The British benefited from his betrayal, but even they hated him for it and didn't like him much. Interesting. All right, yeah, you guys have convinced me. That is not something we do too often. I brought up how, maybe it would be when we're done with Philosophy Fridays, then maybe we'll use Fridays to do like a deep dive on every president and like what was their term like. Yeah, I like stuff like that. So we will definitely do that. I don't know. Well, okay. So I'm in the process of potentially getting a new car. I might not be around tomorrow, but I should. We'll figure it out.
They did not put an epidemic exception in the Constitution. They wrote that document for hard times.
One of the things, you bring that up, Bobby, and I think one of the things we often fall into the trap of in an election year is to see, let's take the most important of those amendments, the First Amendment,
through
a partisan lens. Do we have a Democratic Party that has been using social media companies to silence speech through the back door that they could not through the front door? Absolutely, we have. Is that something we need to hold them accountable for? Absolutely. But I think that if we're to, and this is one of the things I love about you, Tucker, is you're willing to challenge people 360 degrees. I don't care if you're Republican or not. I had conversations with a number of Republicans in the last week who are railing appropriately against Brazil for its banning of X, which is preposterous, actually. This is a major Western, supposedly allied nation. The very people who claim that we want to stand for human rights and democracy abroad have nothing to say when it comes to Brazil banning a social media platform. But
it's not my country. I don't know. What do you want me to say? What do you want me to say, Vivek? You are my favorite person on this stage, and I really, really like everybody on this stage. But what the fuck you want me to do? Do you think that me, tweeting or doing a video that gets 200 views? Thank you to each of the views. But I mean, do you think that's going to change policy in Brazil? How about America first? What happened to that?
But then I challenge some of these same people, because I know what their views are on this question, to say, geez, it sounds like a pretty bad idea for a government of a supposedly free country that just bans outright a social media platform because they don't like the way that it operates. And here's the part where we challenge our own people. That's exactly what the U.S. government has done with respect to a platform that I don't love that much. I don't like it. I don't like many aspects of it all, TikTok. But I do think that we live in one of these moments where the trap in an election year, this is one of the things I loved about your candidacy, Bobby, is leaving the Democratic Party to run as an independent allowed you to do what more of us in either party need to be doing, is question the orthodoxies of both parties and go back to first principles of what's in the U.S. Constitution. And you got to have the same shoe fit the other foot, whether you're a Democrat or Republican. And that's one of the things I loved about the way you ran your campaign, man.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I saw Vice President Harris this week gave a statement where she said that
you're talking about the one from 2 hours ago. That's 10 minutes. That's a little too long. Maybe if we remind me at the end, we'll if we have time, we will check. But yeah, the one I just checked there, I think it's it's 9.5 minutes. A little bit longer of a detour. Yeah, a little bit too much, but that we will definitely cover. Where we at? Oh, Harley said, how would they do that though? They're a private business. Don't we want less government intervention in business? Yes, but that's precisely what we're saying, is that we don't want you should be, if you are allowing the government to dictate, if you're allowing the government to unjustly tinker with the information market, then it doesn't, like, that should be something we should know about. And so, like, now we do, but I should be able to say, I know that Facebook is going to listen to the FBI if they do this, that, or the other. And so I don't want to use Facebook. Whereas on Twitter, they don't do this and whatever. So private business is great, but we also have to remember that Section 230 comes into effect. And when the Twitter's become the new public square and social media has become the new public square, then it has to be treated the same way as the phone companies. I'm very, very confused. Maybe this is another deep dive that I need to do as to why it's been so different. Why it's been so different that we treat social media so differently than phone companies, even though we literally get our internet from the phone companies. We literally, I literally have Verizon shit in my house to get on the internet, and I can say whatever I want on the phone, but if I say it through the same network, not about it. And so even and again, going back to the I'm not against the government having regulations, full stop. I would like as few regulations as possible. But if this is something that is changing 17% of the vote by not letting the New York Post article go through, then I think that's enough for me to say, okay, yes, the overarching body that we have that makes sure all this is supposed to go accordingly, do your thing. Do your thing. I am not an anarchist. Context said, just accept that America has moved on from military imperialism to technological imperialism. Send terabytes, not guns. Dilly to that. Unfortunately, I think China's got us there, but this is what I'm saying. Y'all need to get on TikTok and make sure you make it your own, because you can't fix it what you don't know. Can't fix what you don't know. Imagine everybody who's ever come up with anything good on the internet has gone on something worse on the internet before they fixed it. Right? I said, yeah, but if the business decides they don't want the word shit on their platform, who is the government to come in and say you have to allow it? Is it then pro-business or pro-government? I don't think they should say you have to allow it or you don't have to allow it. I think the aspect or the factor that people are worried about is the transparency. You can do whatever you want. Just don't act like you're not doing it. You can be the left-wing social media platform, but don't act like, oh, these fact checks are, just supposed to be, these are just supposed to be bipartisan and whatever. That's the issue. Yeah, if you want to have the left wing and the right wing social media, make it the left wing or right wing social media. Don't pretend it's something else. I mean, it's definitely it's a matter of scale, because if an individual business was lying, I don't. Again, I trust in the free market that people would be able to say like, oh, clearly they're lying, but. That is exactly. But so perfect example. So like if I'm breaking rules or if I'm doing something that you don't like, then instead of just throttling my channel, give me a warning, give me, do something so that it's it's understood. Now, I don't understand necessarily who would be in charge of making sure that works and how I would want the government and the company. I don't know exactly how it would work out, but all I know is that more transparent government and corporate acts is better for America. Yeah, and says telecommunications are governed by the FCC. Social media is as well, but there are other agencies as well. Section 230 of the Communications Act provides a loophole to these restrictions. Yeah, and I hate it. I hate it. It should just be so free. It's such a. It seems like, especially if I was like a Mark Zuckerberg or a Jack Dorsey or whoever is in charge of Twitter now, Elon. Duh. Stupid. I was like, who did he sell it to? Obviously. But yeah, if I was one of these people, I would be like, yo. Our jobs are so much easier if this isn't our responsibility. When we make it our responsibility, now it's our responsibility. Like, what you mean? It's a platform. We're not a publisher. So you said some wild shit. That's on you. If people don't like it, they can block you. Crazy.
I gave a statement where she said that she said two things. She said one that Elon Musk better watch out.
Real quick, have you guys seen the Kamala Harris Seinfeld thing? Just yes or no?
Because if he abused free speech on Twitter, that he would get that privilege taken away from him.
It's not a privilege.
Yeah.
Okay, so this.
Oh, and it isn't a privilege. No, it's a right.
Exactly. Yeah. Good catch.
Free speech on Twitter, that he would get that privilege taken away from him.
It's not a privilege.
Yeah.
Dilly to Vivek. First of all, who doesn't watch Seinfeld? This is not a winner. This is not a winner. What do you mean? Secondly, this was all that is added here. I think is the curtain as a backdrop and the music in the credits. This is the speech part. The Kamala part is unedited.
So you know how those lids are, because this is, I'm just gonna speak, okay? So this is it. So you know how those lids on the Starbucks cups, they're white, right? And so if you wear lipstick, they get all over the lid. And so then I find myself in meetings if I'm the only woman, and that's kind of, and so I keep taking the lid off and having my cup out so that I don't have that big lipstick mark on the lid. So I said, can we do something about the color of the lid?
Yeah, no, she's not drunk. She doesn't drink. What are you talking about? You're crazy. That's a conspiracy theory. Anyway, yeah, that's real. That's real. Oh.
Privilege taken away from him.
It's not a privilege.
Yeah. Oh, and it isn't a.
I love how Vivek just let that hang there. It's not a privilege. Because it could have been, it's not a privilege, it's right. And everybody would have clapped.
Oh,
Let it sit. Oh, and he's staring right at him. Like, what you gonna do, homie?
And it isn't a privilege, as you know, it's a right. And she said,
damn right.
he gave a
Nick said she really took the lid off so she can add some Kahlua. Kahlua Harris. Kahlua Harris. Tell me that's not a great name. Kahlua Harris, you know, just drink it on the job. I almost spit it out. It's like, really? Girl, that's 2024. Non-transfer lipstick is a thing. Hell no. Got him. Oh, I love it.
It's a right. And she said, he gave a press conference in which he said that these companies need to be punished for putting disinformation and misinformation and hate speech up on the
Sure you did, bro.
internet. And the thing is, with the and Vice President candidate Walz said the First Amendment does not protect disinformation and misinformation.
Yeah, it does, bro.
But that's not right. The First Amendment
It's specifically for the speech that you don't like.
protects disinformation, and it protects misinformation, and it protects lies. It protects all speech. It was not written for the speech that we all want to hear. It was written to protect the speech that nobody wants to hear. And it was,
again, this crowd is loving him. Remember the cheers when we go back to watch some of the other stuff. And I think the best way to go about this is, before Tucker brought Vivek out, he did kind of, just like I wouldn't say it's a speech but he was just talking. And I'd rather see that because after we're done with the three of them, if we have time, because it was very heartfelt, and I think what we got out of Vivek was kind of just more of what we expect from Vivek. But all right, we'll get there when we get there.
we have the Democratic Party, the party I grew up in.
Kahlua
The
Harris.
word liberal is a derivative of the
Libertas.
term for free speech. So that was the central core of this party. When I was growing up, my uncle loved this country so much because of they love the freedom to debate, have conversations.
The last man to give his life for this office. How did we get here? Thanks, said Kahlua. 3 sheets to the wind, Harris.
This idea that the free flow of information was the sunlight, it was the soil, it was the water for democracy, and without it, democracy would wither and die. They knew that. Oh, I have a case right now against the Biden administration, and I was just granted an injunction in the federal courts.
So before we dive back into that, Anne said social media is a platform that offers communications but incorporates marketing, online retail, and other possibilities. While they are regulated, it's important to note that some agencies are reactive. What do you mean by reactive? Reactive to what? What you talking about, Willis?
I was just granted an injunction in the federal courts. Kennedy versus Biden, and Judge Doty, the federal judge in that decision, wrote in the earlier decision, he wrote a 155-page decision that details what we now know about the Biden White House's censorship program. Hurrah! And what Doty details in this is that 37 hours after he took the oath of office, swearing to uphold the Constitution, which includes the First Amendment, he opened up a portal and ordered the social media companies, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, to begin censoring his political critics and on medical information, but also other information as well, including criticism of the Ukraine war. And I was the first person that they ordered Facebook to censor. Facebook actually pushed back at one point and said, Facebook complied and took down my entire Instagram account with almost 1 million followers. But they couldn't find a single factual misstatement, error on my Instagram account. And Facebook, during the email exchange, which we now have, pushes back at one point and says, this is actually not factually erroneous. And so they had to coin a new word, which...
Does anybody know the new word? The new word that was coined just to shut up RFK. Before we get that, let's go back. So Anne was saying social media is a platform that offers communications, but incorporates marketing, online retail, and other possibilities. While they are regulated, it's important to know that some agencies are reactive, meaning reactive, not proactive, meaning they are not audited regularly. Reactive agencies get involved once a situation draws attention, but never before. Okay, I understand what you're saying, but I don't understand how it connects. Again, I'm sure it does. I'm sure I forgot, but spell it out for me. I'm stupid. Harley said Kamala Harris was born in 1969. Non-transfer lipstick came out in 1949. There's no way she doesn't know that's a thing. I don't know. Every day, I am torn between, is she that dumb? Or is she playing a character? And I just don't know. To be fair, I've definitely seen a lot of Starbucks lids with lipstick on them because of women are drinking. So, I mean, maybe it's a widespread problem that Harley's just figured out since 1949. But, yeah, right, on her defense, she has been drunk the whole time.
Erroneous. And so they had to coin a new word.
Okay, ready for it?
Which was malinformation.
Malinformation. Mal is a prefix that means bad. That just means bad information. But it doesn't mean bad information like wrong information, because that would be misinformation or disinformation. It means bad for me. That's malinformation. That doesn't help me. Malinformation.
So they had to coin a new word, which was malinformation.
No, yeah, it's not malicious in and of itself. It's malicious to my narrative.
Which is information, factual assertions that are technically correct, but are nevertheless inconvenient for the government. And they ordered Facebook to censor misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. Oh, that portal which they opened,
should be illegal. That portal should be illegal. Because if you are a private company and you have a secret portal to the government, you are no longer a private company.
The Biden White House turned over to the FBI to manage. So you have the FBI participating in the censorship of American citizens. Bingo. Engaging in political speech.
That is where the private company, that's where that ends. That's where that ends. Because now you are an arm of the government. Now you are a government agency. I said I kind of get it, but she's complaining about a problem that has a solution. Well, that's Kamala Harris for you.
The FBI then invited the CIA, CISA, which is a group that you may not have heard of, but it is the center of the censorship industrial complex.
Oh, nice.
The DHS, the IRS, which I don't know what they were censoring. And
it certainly wasn't the Chase glitch. Put a 1 in the chat if you have not seen anything about the Chase ATM glitch. Because if you guys haven't, then this is why you need to be on TikTok. But it's been wild. Put a 1 in the chat if you have not, you don't know what I'm talking about when I say the Chase glitch.
Which I don't know what they were censoring, and NIH, CDC, and FDA to participate in this censorship project. And I now have an injunction against the Biden White House from doing that to me anymore.
There we go. Okay, perfect time. So just a little side tour. We're not going to watch another video. It's just a thing that I can tell you about really quickly, and then we'll jump back in. So apparently there was, I don't exactly know if it was a software update, if things that changed, or this is, if it was an actual glitch or whatever. But if you've ever deposited a check into an ATM, then usually the bank will either front you the whole amount of the check, or at least like $100 or something, and with the intention that you're not writing bad checks. And so there was a quote unquote glitch at Chase ATMs where you could write yourself a check for any amount of money, even if it wasn't in your bank account, and you can take out the whole amount. That's it. People thought that was like a life hack glitch. And people took out tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars with their own checks, with their own signature, from their own account. And people are getting fucked. Jason's JP Morgan, they don't play around. When you get some time, go look into it. It's crazy that it's definitely not a glitch. They left it open like that on purpose. Stupid criminals don't take much effort to catch. Well, this is part of the conspiracy angle of it, is that the ability to pull out the full check amount. Again, I haven't dealt with checks in a long time, so I don't remember exactly how it works. I remember that when I could put it, regardless of how much the check was, I could put in a check and then take out $100 from it. Maybe they updated it and just like, I remember Chase being more convenient. So maybe that's just a thing that they've always done, or they, again, I heard something about an update. But yeah, people are all over it. There we go. There we go. What's the time? What's the time? Do I have it up here? I do have it up here. All right, let's see. Let's see. What's the time? What's the time? So right now it's 8:58. Where are we? She's gonna be like, what are you talking about? Did I lose it? Oh, come on. No. Well, shortly after you went on Rumble, I was like, in the YouTube chat, I was like, how long till Soil's like, I want to be in the chat, and comes over here, and you did it, and you're here. Welcome. But yeah, anyway, it's crazy that there is yeah, we had a whole thing going. Yeah, it's crazy because somebody did, made a TikTok about this, or it came from a 4chan post, and then somebody made a TikTok about it, and then people just started doing it. Yeah, usually it's called check kiting, and you would do it with different, you do it so. Again, I don't know exactly how it works, but you're supposed to do it not with your own name, not with your own thing, not with your own account, and you're supposed to bounce around different banks or different ATMs so that it's that it's not as easy for you to get caught. And so an ATM doesn't know the funds in the account the check is drawn from, but the ATMs normally stop at 1K and place at least a 2-day hold. They were not doing that. I've seen so many green screen things of people behind them with their Chase account at negative 99,900. Oh my God. Bad news bears. All right, I just wanted to talk about that because that is hilarious. All right, where are we here?
And I now have an injunction against the Biden White House from doing that to me anymore.
No more malinformation.
but it's troubling to me for the very reason Vivek just mentioned about what happened in Brazil. And Tucker, you and I talked about this. We're seeing an emergence now of totalitarianism in all the Western democracies, like nothing that I could have ever imagined. Europe no longer has free speech. Europe is now, the European Union is officially censoring information on the internet. And
They never had free speech. They just had not yet clamped down on their speech as much.
you know, the head of the European Commission, a man named Thierry Breton, recently sent a letter to Elon Musk saying that if he aired an unedited version, a live interview with President Trump on X, that he would be fined as much as 6% of the value of the company. And then France, a week later, arrests Pavel Durov when he the founder of Telegram, when he lands on a gas stop, a fuel stop.
Oh, wow. So there was an actual glitch where people use their phones at the Chase ATM. It didn't close out their account right away. So people would come up behind them and access their accounts. Yikes. Yeah, that's the kind of glitch that is, you know, something that you might understand. But, you know, as you were saying before, stupid criminals don't take much effort to catch. Like, the people were talking about, like, do you think this is just random? That, you know, maybe they, you know, there's whether it's political or, JP Morgan is tied to the person industrial complex and all that stuff. Maybe. I don't know. It definitely could be. But the old saying, guys, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Shout out to the Funk Master General with the $10 super chat. Thank you so much. You gonna get it. There you go. Said the true path to peace is paved with the treats that please our overlord. Indeed. We're running low. I'm gonna have to figure out what I mean, I do have the regular beef ones in the car, but he likes these a lot. But thank you, sir. And of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream. Let's dive right back in.
When he lands on a gas stop, a fuel stop in France, this is particularly alarming because France had as robust a passion and tradition for free speech as we had in this country during the American Revolution or during the French Revolution, 1789.
Should have put an amendment in a constitution.
The French Republic adopted all of these very, very strong laws guaranteeing freedom of speech. And then in the 1880s, they passed another slew of laws, again, protecting free speech. And they guarded that and nurtured that as much as we did in this country, as much as any country in the world.
Hey, shout out to Soil to Soul with a $5 cash app. Thank you so very, very, very much. I gotta check if it, I don't does it put a message? Let's see. So if you guys use like Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal, it said Morty is hungry tonight. Yeah, I think it's easier if you actually put the message on in YouTube. That way, in the YouTube chat, like let me know that it's Cash App or Venmo, and then the message. Because again, now I don't want to show your name, but then we could keep it up there, and whatever message you have will stay for the people. But thank you so very, very much, very, very much appreciated.
To see France do this, and by the way, there's no reason for them to arrest him because he's a citizen of Abu Dhabi. France has an extradition agreement with Abu Dhabi, so they can extradite him. But furthermore, the European Union already is censoring content.
Mm-hmm.
So they went an
That's
extra
they don't have free speech.
to arrest and punish this person and put him in prison to send a message to all of us that, about who's in charge. And that is terrifying to me. I have so many Democratic friends. Jimmy Dore was on here earlier. Fantastic. And he was talking about January 6th. And what I say is people broke the law on January 6th. If you broke the law, you should be punished. But was the Republic threatened on January 6th?
Of course not. Of course not. I said, if anybody could just write a check for how much they wanted and just take it, then why hasn't everybody done that the whole time? Exactly. That's how stupid you have to be to think that, oh, it's just a glitch.
Stupid. Was right, and even if a building was burned down, it's not the end of the republic. It is not. And you have the U.S. military there. You have these agencies. We have institutions in our country that are still functioning. We have a Congress, etc., that would resist the violent overthrow of an American government. And I don't think we were close to a violent overthrow of the American government.
Not even close. Where were the guns?
But
I think as time and in terms of like trying to be reasonable in conversations with people who are not fans of Trump, then I find it makes sense to make certain concessions about like was Trump the worst person ever, and I'm willing to kind of give more credence to how bad January 6th was, as long as you're not going to the point of saying, no, it actually was, an attempt to overthrow the government. But I don't see it very productive to argue how nothing went wrong there. Because, one, people did break the law. It wasn't Trump, but people did break the law. And there was rioting. And Ashley Babbitt did die. And the aspect of dying on that hill doesn't really make sense to me. But as we go, as time continues, we are going to look back and be like, remember when we were pretending that we cared about J6 so that people didn't flip out and call you a conspiracy theorist? Me too. Yeah. Oh, TikTok. I mean, I blame this on the schools. I blame this on the schools. As stupid as it is for, Ashley Babbitt found out who had the guns. As stupid as it is for us to need cursive and print. What do they call that? What word do they use for that? But again, the fact is that if we find writing in cursive as a valuable thing in our society, then we need to teach it, and we don't. So I said, no, not just no, but hell no. Half the folks didn't even know what was going on in J6, but they have a narrative to keep, just like the good people on both sides. Means Trump's approved white supremacy. They're both things are gonna happen. So there's for a long time, people are still gonna think the good people on both sides was exactly what they said, that the white supremacists, could be good people, and then liberals could be good. People are going to say that for the longest time, but as that continues, the number of people who hold on to these types of narratives is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And the number of people who are able to look back in hindsight with a little bit more clarity because they're too close to the trees to see the forest, then, things like Russiagate, things like the convicted felony, all that stuff is going to be like, okay, I mean, yeah, but whatever. Cursive and print. Okay, thank you. No, shorthand is a specific type. Shorthand is a specific type of writing where you'd use symbols and stuff. But it turns out those scribbles and lines actually mean something. My mom knows how to do that. I don't know how much she remembers, but that was a thing. That was a thing. All right, diving back.
Close to a violent overthrow of the American government, but those attacks on free speech, to me, are a genuine existential threat to democracy and to the republic.
Amen. So the question is, I think you've correctly described, and I hope you will say it every time you speak publicly, and I hope to do the same, that we're watching the transformation of the free world into a totalitarian system.
Bingo.
I don't think that's an overstatement.
Mm-hmm.
And so
and that's exactly what I was talking about when I'm saying this left-right paradigm is starting to break. It's that There's people who have different opinions, but some people want an America where we can have those different opinions, and some people don't. Some people want their America, and that's all that can exist. So say there are abbreviations in medical for sure. I still remember several from being a CNA years ago. Still helps today when reading prescriptions. I still don't understand why they shortened gunshot wound, 3 syllables, gunshot wound, to GSW.
What?
Make it make sense. How to say we were taught cursive for 2 main reasons. One is to make our signature, and 2, fine motor skills. Makes sense, but like I would have a very hard time arguing with a Gen Alpha kid who's like, I don't need this. Like, you could just have a signature and then use art class, which should be used in an important way to apply to life. That's where you get your fine motor skills, or sports or something. I don't know. I'm just ranting. Just ranting like an old
totalitarian system. Yeah. I don't think that's an overstatement. And so the questions for each of you, start with you, Vivek. How do we stop that? Because if we don't, then we're done.
Yeah, so I agree with everything Bobby said. I think there's 2 steps to stopping it that I want to highlight, though. I do worry about what's happening in England. I do worry about what's happening in Brazil and France. And
I'm more worried about what's happening in England because it reflects more of what's going on here than, like, they're not going to ban Twitter here.
Other allied, supposedly free nations. But I worry most about when it's...
Yeah, shorthand was an elective in high school at one time. So it was woodworking, and we had woodworking. We had, what was the other trade class? It was wood stuff, and then there was something else. It's been so long, I can't even remember. And then, back in the day, my freshman year, we still had home ec, but they got rid of it by the time I was old enough to do that. I was never old enough to have like shooting class in school or anything, but times they are a changing. No, it wasn't welding specifically. It was a little bit more lower because this was in middle school, so we weren't using fire, but it was more than just woodworking. I don't remember. So they're bringing back cursive now. My oldest, 21, doesn't write it unless it's his signature. My youngest, 13, will now be taught it in middle school. Yeah, right. It's but again, I what aside from a signature, what do we really need cursive for that we can't have other more practical things? Because then it can just be, okay, you need a unique signature. Just do it like this, and that's your signature. I feel like that's a lot of time on something that most of the actual thing that you're doing is never going to be used. Just to get, you know what I mean? The juice doesn't work. The juice ain't worse. The juice ain't worth the squeeze. Shout out to Matthew King. Welcome to the party. Said woodshop and home ec and Botech. Yep. Not anymore. I got there eventually. Nick said, glad to hear they're bringing it back. To answer your question, to be able to read the Constitution. Okay. Yep. You in. Am said cursive was taught for more than those 2 reasons. Historical documents were largely written in cursive, and it also helps curb cheating because cursive is much more unique to identity forgery. Yeah, but they all use computers now. That's my point. But you guys make a good point about the historical documents. I concede.
They're allied, supposedly free nations. But I worry most about when it's happening right here at home in the United States of America. And so the best step to stopping the rise of this authoritarianism around the world is to first stop it permanently here in the United States of America. And I do
clean your room.
think that is especially important even for the world, because as much as you correctly laid out France's history, even if you look at even France, but let alone the other countries, none of those other countries put the First Amendment first, right? So we can preach to other countries about their failure to respect free speech, but our whole national identity, like who we are as Americans, the existence of this country, the fact that we all call ourselves American, that only means something in reference to our actual rights that we have given the people of this country since 1776. So it goes to the heart of our own national identity itself.
Wait, what happened in 1776? I know there was some document, but I can't read it. But so I'm my dad's a doctor, so I get a little bit of pass on handwriting. But this is what my note-taking handwriting looks like. Like if I was actually, this is just for me to read. Like if there was, something that I was going to write to somebody else. Let's see. Do I have a pen down here? I could have sworn that there was a marker. Aha! I knew it. I was like, you definitely got to make sure you have a pen. Come on! All right. So what should I write? Somebody give me something to write, and then I'll write that. Harley said I actually ended up having mixed handwriting. All my capital letters are in cursive, while the rest are in print. So my capital E is a backwards 3. If it's any harder than reading what the fuck y'all type, then I feel bad for your teachers. Jokes. One thing said cursive could also be considered a time saver. Your pencil never comes off the paper, and you're also not hearing the knocking of pens through the whole classroom. Okay, but they don't do that. If that was the case, then why aren't they using cursive? They learn it just to forget it. They said we can't fix the world while our country is burning. And I said, dilly. Exactly what Vivek is saying. Exactly. Goblin said I had to take notes in cursive because I could chicken scratch for shit. I actually got to the point of writing in straight lines without looking at the paper. Yeah, I think that's more of a muscle memory thing. I think most people do that, no? A lot of people do that. That's something used by industries like banking to proactively identify fraud and forgery without losing money, like the Chase glitch. They definitely use it a lot more. So now he's gonna give me something to write. So I'll just use Matthew's comment here, and I'll do it this way. So I'm not writing on the lines. So if I'm writing so that you guys can read it, then what is it? We can't fix our country while our world, the world. Okay, whatever. We can't fix the world. I'm just gonna write that. We can't fix the world. So let's scribble that out. This is what that would look like. Not too much better, but I have bad handwriting. But as you'll see, I don't really pick up the. I guess now that I'm looking at it, it is kind of a mix, like Harley was saying, because I don't really pick up my pen either. It just goes, and then between words, but I don't know. How the fuck did we get here? All right, what the fuck are we talking about? That's true. Very true. So said in art, drawing without looking at the paper or medium you're using, the drawing without looking at the paper or medium you're using is something recommended to learn. Yeah, again, going back to that muscle memory. And said I should write in cursive. It's much better than my print. I said, shit, me too. But there's a reason. There's a reason that we all go back to print. Why is it? I don't know. Nick said I'm dyslexic. I can actually write in a mirror image. Not real fast, but I can do it. I'm sure I can do that. I can do that. Check out the after party. See if I can do it. All right.
Given the people of this country since 1776. So it goes to the heart of our own national identity itself. So the first thing I would say, Tucker, is yes, are we seeing it around the world? Yes, but fixing the problem starts right here at home. Bingo. The second thing I would say, this is the harder part, is that as much as the three of us here, and we're in lockstep alignment on being free speech absolutists on this stage, as much as we can point our finger at the government and its overreach of working with corporations and working through backdoor government regulation and backdoor action to suppress and silence speech, that only works if you have a population that is willing to comply.
They cannot make you comply. Well, I mean, except for violence. But if you don't comply, they can't win without violence. It's a lot harder for them to win if their only tool is violence. When you just walk in lockstep with them, they don't look so bad because you're doing it on your own. Do not comply.
If you have a population that is willing to comply. Okay, and I think that there's another half of this problem that if we're being really honest with ourselves, we have to talk about, which is what is it inside each of us that makes us, as so many are, want to bend the knee to that new regime?
It's bitchery. It's the lack of conviction, I think a lot of people have, but it's a fear of being othered. Just say the thing. You're making it much harder for everybody who agrees with you to be out here saying the thing. You're making it much harder for the world to align with the thing, because even though most of us want the thing, everybody who wants the thing is staying quiet. Meanwhile, on the other side, everybody's things so bad. So then when we look out, it's like, wow, there's a lot of people saying things so bad. And I mean, there's a few people over here giving some pretty good arguments as to why thing is good, but there's just not enough of them. But there are. Stand on business.
Us, as so many are, want to bend the knee to that new regime. And we can complain about the regime all we want. We're missing the other half of the problem unless we also fill that void that causes people to bend that knee, right?
And he's going to say God, but we know better than that. We know that it's about principles. We know that it's about a foundation in morality, whether that is God or anything else, as we've been exploring on Philosophy Fridays. Definitely check them out if you don't know what I'm talking about. He's going to say God, but you know better than that. You know that when he says God, he's referring to what's in his mind. And he's not talking about when you say God, what you think of in your mind. But we can all come together understanding that it just means values, a value set that works for Americans.
Unless we also fill that void that causes people to bend that knee, right? If you don't pledge allegiance to the American flag, you're going to pledge allegiance to a different flag instead. If you don't believe in God, you're going to believe in a new false idol instead. And so I think that that's the harder part we need to fix in this country, is that revival of purpose. And
purpose, not necessarily just purpose. If your only purpose is to win politics, if your only purpose is to get likes on Twitter, then you're going to get what we have. When you have a real purpose, when you have a goal, a worthy goal that you're working towards, it's going to be a bit better. And so I was just in a lobbying meeting recently. I'm still waiting to see what becomes of a current law's potential modifications. Court knows it's a price tag that they don't have to release to the public. Well, good luck with that. So the souls that the economy may be bad, but we are still living higher standards than the Middle Ages royalty did. Yep. And the entitlement of living like that has really, I think we're all guilty of it to a certain extent, but some people just next level. Hey, we got Morty in the chair. Summer's over, guys. That's how you know summer is over.
That's the harder part we need to fix in this country, is that revival of purpose and meaning and grounding ourselves in our identity as Americans. And I think if we get that part right, if we as a citizenry, we as individuals say, no, nobody's going to tell me or shame me or threaten me, to do anything other than express my opinion and tell you who I am and what I believe, then I think the government part will actually solve itself along with it. So some of that's not just on the government, it's on us. And they put the Second Amendment after the First Amendment for a reason. It's the one that puts the teeth into all of the others. And that too is part of what our founding fathers envisioned since 1776. That's what I think.
Harley, can I show this?
Bobby, are you hopeful that the tide of totalitarianism can be turned? And if so, how?
Yeah, you have to have hope. If you're saying at this point, nope, we're done. You're handwriting, Harley. If you're at this point saying that there's no hope, I don't necessarily blame you, but stay out of the way then. Stay out of the way. Because if it's all going to shit, then at least some of us are going to try. You don't have to, but stay out of the way. So let's see. This is oh wait, no, I wanted to do it this way. Copy link. So Harley wanted to show off her amazing handwriting. And so we're a little sideways, but we got can we do a slip? I don't know how to do that. So we got the cursive here. How do we do this? We got the cursive here. The print here. I mean, seems like pretty typical girl handwriting to me. That looks like how girls write. I mean, again, since I've been out of school, I haven't really been seeing a lot of people in general write, nor have I written much. But I wouldn't be too hard on yourself.
The tide of totalitarianism can be turned, and if so, how?
Yeah, again, you have to be.
I think
you can't be black-pilled at this point. At this point, you cannot be black-pilled.
it all depends on this election. Is I don't think, and I try not to badmouth other candidates because I think
It's politics, Bobby. You're going to have to badmouth some politicians. Am said, show how much they're paying to influence the law. They are always, there are ways to find the info in more detail, but SEC reporting only requires categorical itemizations, with which would go under legal fees. Again, I'm not really sure what are we talking about. Again, I understand the words. What's the connection? So it said, looks better than mine. I get messy. Plus, being left-handed, my hand goes over everything and has a chance of smearing it. There's how can I? There's a fun way to do a poll here, but I don't. Because I'm just gonna move on. But I was trying to come up with something because I'm the only out of 5 people in my family. My parents and me are right-handed, but my brother and my sister are left-handed. It just so happens that my sister is maybe not so much anymore, but she used to be ambidextrous. She could, write with either hand. And then my brother never told anybody that he was left-handed when he would do stuff like learn to play the guitar, learn to play the drums, learn to play hockey or whatever. So he would just play righty. And so I play music righty because I am a righty. But for whatever reason, even though when it comes to baseball, I swing like a righty, I used to play lacrosse and I could only play left-handed. Even more weird is you would think that the similarities between those two would have the same hands, but I even play hockey as a lefty. Why? I don't know. Weird. Reference to Lance from the Surfs bringing up that piece of paper with the trend of left-handed individuals to try to make the argument that trans is normal.
badmouth other candidates because I think my approach is to try to dampen the vitriol and the anger and the hatred. I think we have to stop hating each other. But I don't, from the statements that Kamala Harris makes and that her vice president makes, I don't think they have a clear vision of what the country's supposed to look like. I don't think they understand the First Amendment. I don't think they understand the Constitution. I saw Kamala, at the convention, and she gave a speech that was very bellicose and belligerent. It was a kind of speech that was written by neocons and the CIA.
Mm-hmm.
They had
That's because it was written by neocons. And the CIA.
The first time in history, they had a CIA former director speaking right before her, Leon Panetta. They had military people speaking at the Democratic Convention. The Democratic Convention was a Democrat with the anti-war party. They were the pro-Constitution party. They were the party that was against Wall Street and against and representing the little guys, the cops, the firefighters, union and labor people. And I talked to you about this on the show last week. In the 2020 election, roughly 50% of the people in this country voted for Donald Trump. But that group that voted for Donald Trump represented 30% of the wealth in our country.
Damn.
The 50% of the people that voted for Joe Biden represented 70% of the wealth. There's been an inversion.
Oh, so no longer is the Democrat Party the party of the working man. No longer is the GOP just for the rich, hoity-toity people just trying to get their tax breaks. It's almost like that paradigm is breaking, if not already broken.
Biden represented 70% of the wealth. There's been an inversion now where the Republican Party has become.
This is what happened with my sister. Nixon, I was left-handed, but my teacher in kindergarten got me to switch. So I'm right-handed now, which I'm thankful for because I'm right eye dominant. I just wonder if that's something I switch. Maybe. But yeah, that's definitely, at that age, you're so malleable that the muscle memory is, if you're, for, however many years, that's what it is. You might have a natural proclivity to one side or the other, but like right eye dominant. So if I was going to, I'd go like that. So that's right. That would be what I, because it would be weird if I was like, okay, this, because meaning my natural, and obviously I'm not doing that the right way. I'm saying naturally, naturally, my right eye closes. So did that make me? Isn't that the way that is? If you're right-handed, you want to have your right eye open or your left eye open. Again, I don't know a lot about guns, guys.
The wealth. There's been an inversion now where the Republican Party has become the party of the common man, of working people, of the middle class. And
hey, we got indie film in the building. Welcome to the party, sir. Good to see you, sir. Thinking about something. Let us know. What's up, brother?
The Democratic Party has become the party of Wall Street, of the military-industrial complex, of big pharma, big agriculture, big tech, the big banking systems, and all of it. What Donald Trump calls the deep state, which is this web of financial interests that is not necessarily a little conspiracy.
I can only do the eyebrow with this one. I can't go. I can't go the other one.
But it's a conspiracy of self-interest that functions together in tandem to shift wealth upward, to clamp down totalitarian controls, and to transform this country from the world's exemplary democracy into a corporate kleptocracy and a very, very oppressive oligarchical system, the kind of system that we fought a revolution to overthrow in 1776.
Wow. I mean, how do you disagree with that? What is there to disagree with that? Context is speaking my language right now, RFK. I really want to know what Vivek has to say about all of that. Let's find out.
Bless you for saying that. Okay, I have a final question for
Oh, and they're switching over.
each of you, and it's one of the reasons that I'm fascinated by you both, respect you both, and I'm grateful that you're here.
So again, if you didn't join us at the beginning, we skipped forward to see the three of them on stage, and then we're going to go back. I'll actually put up a poll now, which you would rather see. Like I said, Tucker kind of gives a solo speech to the crowd in the beginning. Then he brings Vivek out, and then he brings out RFK. So we already saw the entirety of the RFK part. I personally think that it would be better to watch the solo Tucker stuff, but I'll leave it up to you guys. I will put it in the poll, and don't hit the wrong one. Read the fucking thing before you hit the button. Every single poll. So you go, oops, I hit the wrong one. There's two fucking options.
Neither one of you needs to be doing this. You both just ran. You both dropped out. You both kept going. Again, you're not doing it for the money. You're not doing it for the adulation. The media hates you both. Doesn't make your life, no, it's true. It doesn't make your life less complicated. It's incredibly tiring and in some points tiresome, but you persist both. Why? Vivek.
Good question. That's a good question. Why do you persevere? Why do you persist? And again, I just put up the poll. Which would you prefer? Again, we have already seen, we will have seen everything with RFK. So that's done. Hey, I don't care what you do. I'm going by the poll. So would you rather see Tucker's solo thing or Tucker with Vivek? Again, in my personal opinion, I think the Tucker solo stuff would be better, just because Vivek kind of just gives more of what we already know from him, whereas the solo stuff is more personal than we usually see. But again, I will leave it up to you. Do it all for the nookie. Come on, the nookie. Come on.
In some points tiresome, but you persist both. Why? Vivek.
Gratitude. I think that my parents came to this country with no money 40 years ago, and in a single generation, what have I found in multi-billion?
I hope you're trolling me, bro. I hope you are fucking trolling me.
Dollar companies. My wife lived the American dream. We're raising two boys in Ohio, thankfully, with God's blessings, healthily and happily.
Which God?
It is my sense of gratitude to this country to have made possible what my parents or me growing up would have never imagined was possible. And
come on, guys, hit that poll, please. I'm looking for it to go the other direction. I promise you, if we just see more Vivek, he's going to just say the same shit he's already said. Hit the Tucker solo option.
You know what? I've been giving a lot of thought to this idea of, obviously we say it a lot, making America great again. And, of course, there's a nostalgia in that, right? The country that my parents came into, we should talk about the melting pot back in the 1990s, this notion of assimilating into one country, which had a common identity.
That is what I want to go back to. When we say, when was America great? In the 1990s, the melting pot, the color blindness. Was it perfect? But it was on the right track. That's when America was great. And a lot of other times too. But at least in my lifetime, the 90s were great. I think pre 9/11, you could still make gay jokes. You still make retarded jokes. And you didn't hate gay or retarded people. Good times.
90s, this notion of assimilating into one country, which had a common identity, that's now become a microaggression. So there's certain elements of what we missed from the 1990s. The idea that the best person gets the job, regardless of their skin color, or the idea that, you know what, you get to speak your mind as long as I get to in return. These basic quaint ideas, we want to bring that back. But for me, I think that's not good enough, actually. I think that we, in some ways, part of America isn't just making America great again. I think this is what Donald Trump means it when this second time around. You can hear it between the lines of what he says. It's what moves me too, is I want to make America greater than it's ever been before, actually.
I like that. I like that.
I want to make America greater than it's ever been before, actually. I think our best days as a country can still actually be ahead of us.
I agree, as long as we get away from dogma. As long as we get away from dogma, then the best can be in front of us. But we have to keep our minds open.
I think our best days as a country can still actually be ahead of us. And as a relatively young person, I hope my best days are still ahead of me. I don't take that for granted.
All right, we'll do it. We'll do it again. We'll do it again. And we'll make sure everybody picks the one that you really want. We're going with this one, regardless of what happens.
Every day is a blessing, and we wake up tomorrow, that's a gift too. But I hope my best days are ahead of me. And I do think it's also going to take some people from the next generation to make a country whose best days are ahead of us too. And so I don't know what form that's going to take for me in the next step, but whatever it is, we're going to keep going and each play our
That's why he's a better man than I.
part. And if we each do, I think that not in some fake politician way, but in a true way, I think we are going to make America greater than it's ever been before. And that's what we're shooting for in November.
That's it, right? That's what we're shooting for. That's what we're shooting for. The opportunity to go back. The opportunity to not only go back, but go back and go forward at the same time. Go into the past and pick that which is unburdened. Bring it back to the future, and then bring all the things that were already on that path and pull them into our alignment. That is the way to go.
Thank you. Bobby, it has been a long slog for you, and you are more energetic.
90s fashion was peak. Taco Bell in the 90s was peak. You are a crazy woman.
Energized than ever, it seems to me. Why are you doing this?
Well, I talked to you a moment ago about what I see as a devolution of American democracy and how it's turning into something that is, I would describe as a totalitarian system. And I see, because of what I've been doing for 20 years, working on chronic disease issues, and what I did for 20 years before that, working on environmental issues, I see how these powers, these economic aggregations, can commoditize everything. If they commoditize the water, they steal it from the public. They turn it in. When General Electric dumped PCBs in the Hudson, it was privatizing all the fish in the Hudson and turning them into its own private property. That they privatize our landscapes, the Purple Mountains Majesty. And then when
that's our land. But let's shout out our boy Guam Tech for the $5 cash app. Thank you so very, very much. We are peanut butter. We are on our way. Not quite there, but very, very, very much appreciated. And of course, he, and by extension myself, forgive you for your greatest transgression. Your greatest transgression. Now, don't let me, influence you too much. If you really do want to see how Tucker and Vivek go at it, then pick that. But I just think that we'll all enjoy Tucker's solo thing more. And we only have 5 votes. We got 11 people here, so it's still up in the air.
They privatize our landscapes, the Purple Mountains Majesty. And then when I started fighting on public health issues, I saw how they're privatizing our children. They're literally stealing their health.
Well, I mean, and he just used the right word, commodifying. They're commodifying our children. And when he says our children, we millennials are included in that. One funk. But that's plenty. That's plenty. That's plenty.
Oh, how they're privatizing our children. They're literally stealing their health. We're at
20 total.
We have in this country now the sickest children in the world. We have the highest chronic disease burden of any nation on earth. When my uncle was president, we had 6% of Americans had chronic disease. Today, almost 60% do. And when my uncle was president,
Wait, what? From what to what?
We had 6% of Americans had chronic disease. Today, almost 60% do.
10 times? 10 times as many people have a chronic disease? I will say, with that stat, I am I'm inclined to go along with how this is that 60% number. That is very likely something that would go along with the way that psychology has and psychology terms have like really infiltrated the rest of society. I don't think that 60% of people have a chronic disease. I could be wrong. But I think 60% in those 60%, I think we have a lot of things like, depression or anxiety or ADHD or whatever that, are real things that people have. But again, we have big pharma that's like, oh, yeah, we need to give you this drug. So we need to give you an ADHD, whatever. So I don't know. Yeah, Nick said the 90s were awesome. I miss grunge. Okay, I just really miss being young. That too. But the 90s really weren't that good. Like said, good God, I hope RFK takes the fluoride out of the tap water. I really don't care if I come off as woo woo for saying that. And yeah, I mean, this is all every night. This is all tap water. And I don't know. I just figure it'll make me stronger, right? What don't kill you makes you stronger. It definitely not dumb me down. Otherwise, I'm a fucking genius. So I think I'll be all right. Big titty goth girls. I mean, there's a difference. An e-girl is not a big titty goth girl. If you weren't there, you don't know. If you weren't there, you don't know. I think all of you were there, but exactly. There's a reason so many Americans died during COVID. We are the sickest Western nation in the world. Still 60%? More than most people walking around have a chronic disease? Okay, let's do this. What is the most what's the opposite of severe? Innocuous. Innocuous disease that is considered a chronic disease. So one of the most innocuous diseases considered chronic is allergy rhinitis, hay fever. It's a long-term condition characterized by symptoms, pet dander, all that kind of stuff, despite its chronic nature. So, like, that's what I'm saying. Just like 60%. If you have allergies that can be cured by a Claritin in the morning, that don't count. So again, we'll take it for what it is. I mean, definitely, there's there's definitely a lot of this going on, but exactly, yeah. That's exactly what I was just saying. There are not. So yeah, okay. So most goth chicks are still stuck in the 90s, but they're 40 now. You can't be goth and hot and 40 all at the same time. So we have the 20 to 30-year-old girls, but they're e-girls. They're not goth. Different flavor all together. Not the same thing.
Americans had chronic disease. And
I just want to hear that one more time. That is insane.
We had 6% of Americans had chronic disease. Today, almost 60% do. And when my uncle was president, I was a boy. We spent zero on chronic disease in this country. Today, we spend $4.3 trillion. And that money is going upward into the pockets of certain people. And mainly it's the pharmaceutical industry. The most valuable asset in America today is a sick child. Because if you can get a child sick when they're very young and get them dependent on Ozempic and Adderall and insulin and seizure medication,
So maybe that's a kind of his point. Maybe that's included in his point that today we have 60% of people who have a chronic disease, yet like so the soul is bringing up lowering thresholds for things like cholesterol and high blood pressure and blood sugar. Maybe he is including that and saying, because of stuff like this, including the actual unhealthy people that we wouldn't have considered chronically diseased in the past, that, because Big Pharma loves their lifelong customers, they're using things like what So the Soul is talking about to create customers. I think that might be being charitable. That would make sense as to what he's saying. That it's not actually 60% of us that are dealing with this. It's 60% of us that they want to turn into customers. I think. Shout out again to our boy Funk Master General. First, let's treat our overlord. Thank you. Go and get it. Want to get it? There you go. Thank you. And it said, check the cash app. The cash app. I don't know why they don't give me the goddamn notifications. Like, come on, bro. We'll give it a sec there. Let's see. All right, it'll come in. Sometimes it takes a minute, but either way, very, very, very much appreciated, and still out sponsoring your show. I will keep an eye on this to make sure if we are getting to the peanut butter level, we will definitely get our boy his due. Thank you so very, very much, sir.
And insulin and seizure medication. You have now a client for life that is generating thousands of dollars potentially a week in revenue for these interests. And so I see how they're commoditizing everything. They're stealing everything we've
commoditizing or commodifying
value. And they're ultimately, that comes from them being able to overrun our constitutional rights. And I saw it during COVID. I saw the whole thing in miniature, compressed time, exactly what they're up to. And I remember in 2020, in August, I was in Berlin. I was giving a speech to 1.3 million people who had come from all over Europe. It was like Woodstock, but for political freedom, because they saw what was happening with these mandates. It came from every nation in Europe to protest them. And I gave a speech.
There it is. Oh my goodness. Another. Oh my goodness. $10 cash app from our boy, Mr. Funk. Wait, let me get you over here. Thank you. So very, very much, sir. Oh my goodness. Thank you. So where we at? We got 10, 20, 30. We are up to 30, $40. Oh my goodness. Funkmaster, you're amazing, brother. Thank you so very much. So very, very, very much. If everybody puts 99 cents, Morty gets some peanut butter tonight.
Every nation in Europe to protest them. And I gave a speech. I ran into an NBC film crew there.
Oh, I thought he said NPC.
And they were all wearing masks. And they said to me, why aren't you wearing a mask? You're in this big crowd shaking hands. Aren't you scared of...
Oh, my goodness. We got our boy, the God Daddy, Cody Brooks, in the building. Welcome to the party, sir. We bow down to the God Daddy. That's right. Cody Brooks signed up at the God Daddy level. That is $200 a month into this platform. Brother, thank you so much for being here. What does he say? The only path to unity will be if our way of life is completely destroyed. I do appreciate people trying, though. We just have gone too far to come back together easily. Oof. Well, I mean, like I was saying before, I understand how people could be black-pilled. And this seems rather black-pilled. And again, I'm not going to blame anybody for feeling this way. But as he has done, he is not only staying out of the way of people who are still trying, but supporting those of us, or at least me, who are. And so, I am not going to argue with you. If that's the way that you see the world, then I see why. I see things very, very differently, and I see that there is a path for things to be better. And, with all of your guys' support, I think we can get it done. So welcome to the party, sir. Always, always, always good to see ya. Guantek said, some of the shit I hear my family say the doctors tell them to do managing their diabetes. I'm convinced the medical industry is incentivized to only make it worse. No, wait a minute. Are you telling me or telling me that big pharma only cares about their industry and profits? No, that can't be. They make medicine. Pharma, like the pharma and big pharma is for like pharmacy and pharmacological things. That's meant to help people, Quamtech. How could you not understand? You see how crazy that sounds? Crazy. You know it. Exactly. Quamtech goes on to say, one of my family members is borderline diabetic. Went to the hospital for dehydration and they described her fucking Gatorade. I mean, it's definitely going to hydrate you, but lots and lots of sugar. Suggest that she get a soda stream, bro. These things are game changers because then you can add your own sweetness and, wean off. A Gatorade is going to be as sweet as a Gatorade is. You get some of those Gatorade pouches or powders. You make your own Gatorade, and then you slowly make it less and less and less and less sugary. Because the sugar-free shit, I don't blame anybody for not wanting to drink that. I said I actually watched a video about obesity and the U.S. It's kind of crazy what we tolerate here. Fat people, yeah. Fat people wanting universal health care. Nah. I told her to add some salt to some weak ass Kool-Aid, and it would be the exact same thing. Yep. We are definitely a nation of fatties. Yep. Shout out to stevia. Definitely. Yeah. Soda stream with lime juice, lemon juice, and a dash of sea salt. Perfect. If you get real fancy, what you can do is put fruits or put the lime, lemon, some cucumber, cilantro, whatever it is, in the water. Let it sit overnight. Then you put it in the bottle that carbonates it, and that's gonna taste good. And yeah, I'm with you. Don't get the zero sugar Gatorade. You're better off with absolutely better off with real sugar. But diabetes not good for sugars. But I agree. Yeah, my mom drinks a decent amount of soda for the amount of shit she gave me for drinking soda and my sugar intake. She drinks a lot of like Diet Coke, Diet Soda, whatever, and like she went to school for nutrition. I mean, maybe they didn't have what is it called? Aspartame when she was in school. Maybe not. I think it's just one of those, blind spots where she's like, I don't care. This is my vice, whatever. She doesn't drink. She doesn't do anything else. But it's just so bad. Like there's always a Diet Coke with lime, zero sugar, Coke Zero. Like these are not good for you. Maybe I'll get her. That's what I'm gonna do. What time of the year is it? It is September. Okay, Christmas. I'm getting her a soda stream because she has got to stop. That's it. If I forget, remind me. Soda stream for mama. Bugmaster said, grow your own stevia. It's easy. What plant is that? Is it just called? It's not called a stevia plant, is it? I said, I'm saying how we tolerate the things in our food that is known to cause harm and kill people, but we don't care because it tastes good. America. Yeah, I mean, I want it to be this way. You should be able to put nasty, harmful shit in your body. The pairing to that is that you should be smart enough to understand that it's harmful to put it in your body and not overdo it. I would argue that a big reason why we see this type of just this type of trend is that people got used to trusting authorities to say, "Oh, this is good. This is lean. This is sugar free. This is organic. This is whatever." And it's not. It's all bullshit. Okay, it is stevia. Okay, but yeah, word up. Do it at home. We know Soil to Soul knows how to garden like a pro.
To me, why aren't you wearing a mask? You're in this big crowd shaking hands. Aren't you scared of dying?
You're not wearing a mask?
How dare you?
And I said, there's things that scare me a lot more than dying.
And conformity is one of them.
And they said, like what? And I said, like losing my constitutional rights, like having.
Dilly to that. Dilly. Like what? Like losing my constitutional rights.
And they said, like what? And I said, like losing my constitutional rights, like having.
Gangster.
Like having my children grow up in an America where they cannot speak freely and criticize their political leaders. And we had a whole generation in 1776 of people, of men and women who gave their fortunes, they gave their property, they gave their status and their lives to giving us this Constitution, to giving us this incredible gift. And we became the template for the rest of the world. In 1776, we were the only democracy on earth. By 1865, there were 5. By the time my uncle was president, or about.
I literally, was it yesterday? Or 2 days ago? But I realized I didn't have any food in the house, and I stopped at McDonald's just because it's right there. I don't do it too often, but if you're gonna go there, get the triple hamburger. The cheese is nasty Kraft singles anyway, but then you're getting the meat and very little You just get the one set of buns where you get 3 patties, and it's almost the shape of like an actual burger. Not that the meat is great, but I think that's the winner. Once I said, I know it's I'm going hard. I'm going hard on it, but our food is most of the reason we're a sick nation. Agreed.
Or 5. By the time my uncle was president, there were about 130, and by the end of the 1960s, there were 190, all based on the American model. So we truly were the exemplary democracy. We were the hope, the light for the whole world. And
that's why we became world police and got too big for our britches.
Today we've lost our role as a model. Nobody wants the system we have. We're no longer a moral authority.
I wouldn't say nobody wants the system we have. That's why millions of people are pouring over the border to get here. But point taken.
We're no longer a moral authority. We've eroded this through this dynamic. And I don't want that for my children. I want my children to grow up with the hope, with the love for this country that I had. I'll say one other thing. In 2013, there was a poll where they asked young Americans under the age of 35, are you proud to be an American? 85% said yes. The same poll taken 6 months ago, 17% said yes.
What? I must have heard that wrong. I must have heard that wrong.
The same poll, are you proud to be an American?
Wait.
Where they asked young
2013.
Americans under the age of 35, are you proud to be an American?
In 2016.
Where they
2013,
asked-
rather. 2013. We're not talking about this is essentially a decade ago.
Young Americans under the age of 35, are you proud to be an American? 85% said yes. The same poll taken 6 months ago, 17% said yes.
And this is a typo. This is a typo. Not 177%. 17. Wow.
We have a whole generation that's lost their pride
Wow.
in being an American citizen, and they've lost hope for their own futures.
Maybe it's because we wrapped this patriotistic idea of our country around a God that they cannot believe in because it doesn't fucking make any sense. And maybe we need to step away from that and create a unique secular American identity that allows for people to believe of different faiths. Kind of like my whole idea of my whole purpose of existing on this platform. That is insane. Absolutely, absolutely insane.
And we had a generation in 1770s.
Yeah, it is. I completely agree with you. It's deeper than just letting go. It's about creating something that people can grab onto. People don't feel like they can grab onto American ideals, patriotism. They don't feel like that's a real thing. And it's not up to anybody else except all of us. If you're looking at somebody else to fix this, then you're fucked. Now, again, if you believe this can't be fixed, I disagree, but I understand how you got there. But I think differently. I think it can be fixed. And I think if we keep doing what we're going to do, if we keep doing what we are doing, it will be fixed. Like I said, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I will be here. I'm trying to go live as much as I can. I will be here. But no one person can do this. We have to come together. And so far, I'm happy. But like I said, like I say all the time, we are way closer to the beginning than to the end.
Futures. And we had a generation in 1776, 20,000 of them died. A huge number. It'd be like 1 million people today.
Yeah, let's take a moment. Let's just take a moment to shout out James Earl Jones, who unfortunately passed away today. Dilly dilly in the sky. Which is a metaphor. I obviously don't believe in an afterlife, but Cody said, yeah, he died tonight. My favorite role was the movie The Sandlot. Oh my God, I love that movie. That has a special, special place in my heart. Cody says it inspired kids to love and chase the American dream, but it's an old America that no longer exists. And I'm bringing it back, baby. I'm bringing it back. Soil said, and yeah, if you can find a reputable farmer to do it, or possibly a loophole to the raw milk, is that the farmer allows you to buy a share in the farm legally as a part owner. They can't stop you from getting raw milk. I mean, I'm a little confused as to why this is such a bit like why are not more people talking about like collecting rain? Like how many people are drinking that much milk? I mean, I'm a single 34-year-old dude, so you know, I guess if you have kids or something, but like how much milk are y'all really ingesting? I cannot tell you the last time I bought milk. I don't know. Conan, yep, there you go. R.I.P. R.I.P. All right, moving back.
Died. A huge number. It'd be like 1 million people today to give us our Constitution. And, you know, they said to us that every generation must water the tree of liberty with its own blood if you're going to hold on to this.
There you go. There you go. If we're ever going to, again, maybe you just didn't hear it because it's hard to understand, but one more time.
They said to us that every generation must water the tree of liberty with its own blood.
You have to water the tree of liberty with your own blood. No, that doesn't have to be literal. But you have to have some skin in the game. You have to care. And again, not enough people do. You cook with milk a lot? That much? That's that bad to get like what genuine question. If you don't really drink it, but you cook with milk a lot and the occasional milkshake, what's so bad about pasteurized milk that you're going through all these avenues to find raw milk? I just, again, not a milk person. Uh-oh. Did we get another one here? Hold on. How do I do? Why do they make it like this? Is this the second one? I don't know what's happening. We accepted that. Done. Okay. That. Oh. No, we got that. All right, I'll keep a lookout, brother. But I will definitely do that. I'll keep a lookout for it. Thank you. And just because it's you, you got some credit with me, brother, as not only the sponsor of the stream, but the biggest donator to this platform. Thank you so very, very much. You have a fantastic night, sir. Thank you. So next, they were trying to text people on the rainwater that tax people on the rainwater that falls on their property. I don't think it's gotten there yet, but California did it. Of course they did. They want it to be illegal to collect rainwater runoff. Yeah, that is more in line with what I would expect people to be concerned about. It's just fucking milk. Cody said, RFK voice is iconic on its own. His depth of voice struggle demands attention. That's the other side of it, is that it's hard to listen to, but you also can't listen to him passively. If you're listening to him, you have to pay attention. So, yeah. So this is a family 6. We use about half a gallon a week. I don't go through the hoops. I just know of them. Gotcha. Context says it's not the pasteurizing that harms it, it's the homogenization. Sucks out all the healthy fat and critical elements of the milk that actually makes it digestible. Well, that's why, like, again, what is in raw milk that you can't get in other things that are more palatable? And again, that's a genuine question. Maybe there's something, but I'm good.
Institution. And, they said to us that every generation must water the tree of liberty with its own blood if you're going to hold on to this. So it's not something that I want to do. I have a really good life, and I had a great family that loved me. I still have a nuclear family that loves me. And I have a big family now, too.
There you go.
But I didn't feel like I had a choice. I felt like I have to do this the same reason people left their homes in 1776 to do something for an idea. And I want to keep that idea for my kids.
You're saying this stuff being in the raw milk. Is that, I'm assuming that's the context of this.
Well, God bless you for that. And God bless you, Vivek. What an amazing experience, a wonderful experience this has been. Thank you. And thank you.
Well, right. All right. So we're going to go all the way back to the beginning here. And like I said, this was a bit of a speech, a monologue, an introduction, a soliloquy. I don't know what it is, but he was talking to the people of California as a native born Californian who got out. And I agree. I thought it sounded fake too, but listen to the level of applause from when he comes out. I'll back it up a little bit, and then the level of applause when Vivek comes out. Whatever it is, these people fucking love RFK. They love him.
Thank you very much. I feel like
That's quieter. Of course, we don't know the size of the audience.
it is. Thank you. Thank you. It is a
Okay, maybe that's a little louder, but
true joy to be here, I must say. As a native Californian, it's hard to believe I'm here.
Tucker laughed.
Thank you. No, it's funny. I'm thrilled to be in the state of California, which I often make fun of and scold like an errant child, but I love. I'm the product of it. Many generations of Californians, and I wound up running away and moving to as far from here as I possibly could. But every time I come back, literally, I moved diagonally across the country. Next stop, Canada. But every time I come back, I know. Every time I come back, I think, I can't believe I left here. It's just so great. And you get such a different sense of being here and meeting people who actually still live here, who haven't run away, like terrified children like me. You really get the sense that there are so many great and normal people still in California.
Shout out to Nick. A normal person. Normal, but he's one of the good ones in California.
And the people who stayed, the actual Californians, people who were born in California, I mean, there's an intensity to them. I mean, it really is like, I was thinking tonight, I was with about 100 of them. So my relatives are here, and it really is like talking to like Cuban refugees. Like, they know what the stakes are. They're not floating through life. Oh, I'm going to. Bless you. No, when I was a child growing up in La Jolla, I lived in San Francisco, I know, LA, and then La Jolla, and we would have entire afternoon conversations about the weather. And I never realized, I thought it was a little weird, but I didn't realize how totally deranged it was because our weather never changed at all. It went from like 76 and partly cloudy to 77 and sunny and then returned to the former. That was it. That's all we talked about. And now when I come to the state, particularly to Orange County, people are just in.
But that's what I'm saying. You should be drinking milk for the healthy fats than calcium. You can't get healthy fats other places. You need milk, raw milk. I'm allergic to avocados. I'll eat those.
In fuego, like they know what's up. And the people who've stayed here, a lot of them plan to stay here, period, and to make the state better. And what I realized, and bless you for your courage and determination and not being run out and calling U-Haul and going to Idaho, though it's close and tempting. But what I always think when I come back, I think two things in sequence, in order. The first thing I think is, man, is the state screwed up? And then the second thing I think is, you could fix it in about 20 minutes. It's not hard. This is not the Social Security problem or the national debt. These are not complex math problems. California has problems that are intentionally imposed on the state.
Mm-hmm.
People worked hard. They stayed up late thinking of new and diabolical and inventive ways to wreck the most beautiful place God ever made. And that's like the sickest thing I can imagine. Why would you want to destroy something as beautiful as California? I don't know. I don't know the answer. I don't think it's political. I think it's spiritual. But I do know that the antidote is really simple. So the California that I grew up in, and when I was little, not far from here, I was in Anaheim at 5, and like every 5-year-old in the state of California in 1974, I could not wait to get to Disneyland. And Anaheim was very much like Disneyland, and it was like the rest of the state that I grew up in. It was clean, it was orderly, and it was fair. It was the fairest state out of 50. It was a pure meritocracy, California was. You came to California because you had ambition or a vision, and in California, you were allowed to make it real. If you worked hard, you were smart, you'd get rich in California, and a lot of people did from all over the country. Yeah, they did. And what is that? That's fairness. It's allowing people to reach their full expression as human beings. That's fairness. It's not penalizing people for who their parents were or how they look. It's allowing people to truly blossom. And California was the world headquarters of that. And it had the greatest natural resources of any place literally on the planet. It had the richest farmland, it had the most beautiful beaches, it had the prettiest mountains, it had the most majestic trees. Who has redwoods like we did? Nobody. We mock your trees. We did. We feel sorry for you. Oh, look at my white pine, my oak. Yeah, okay. Does the word sequoia mean anything to you?
Hey. Jersey's the Garden State, all right? Watch yourself. Yeah, good, good point, right? Good point. Butter seems to be fine, but the milk, yikes. So that's why I like to grow my own veggies and such, as much as I can. Got 10 plus pounds of blueberries this year. 2-year-old plants. Planted 2 pear trees. Will be a while on those. Sweet potato harvest soon too. Well, dilly do of that. That sounds very good. Next, the dark leafy greens are usually one of the best sources of calcium. Whatever not. So I made 2 years worth of pickles and relish and such from 9 cucumber plants. You can do a lot in even small spaces. Yeah, I definitely want to have some level of space to be able to do that whenever I situate somewhere other than here. If I remember right, there's more calcium in broccoli than a glass of milk. But I thought I was going to make you big and strong because of the calcium. Oh, wait, that's part of the food pyramid.
Behind my oak. Yeah, okay. Does the word sequoia mean anything to you? It was just incredible. The bounty of it was insane. Go up to Big Bear, up into the Sierras. We would constantly have this debate because I lived in both Northern and Southern California, which is better. And then I just said they're both great. And anyone who doesn't live here is to be pitied. In this town where we are now, I think it's still the biggest municipality in Orange County, I think. It was, anyway, Anaheim. Anaheim was a reflection of the state and of the biggest business in the town, which was Disneyland.
This seems a little pandery. Am I the only one? This seems a little pandery.
And Disneyland, the purity of Disneyland.
I could never, no. Butter and coffee. Bleh.
And when I was a child is like incomprehensible to young people now. But it was a reflection of what California was like. It was totally clean.
Yup. Government psyop to get everyone to drink more milk so they don't have to buy it all. I was thinking maybe, the soy ass. I'm going to get to milk and then you go to soy milk. We'll make a bowl of raw milk and broccoli.
Haram!
That's haram.
People now. But it was a reflection of what California was like. It was totally clean. Not antiseptically clean, not hospital room clean, but just clean.
Was it though? I mean, maybe one time, but it's been a long time since then, Tucker.
In the way that a place is when it's owned by someone who cares about it. And it was orderly, not in some kind of overbearing fascist way, but in the way that every human desires. There was an order to it. And it was wholesome. It was legit wholesome. I'm not that old, but I remember in my 7th grade class, somebody whispering about his cousin who had gotten high in the parking lot at Disneyland and done Space Mountain. And we were like, wow, you were high at Disneyland?
Based.
Dude, be careful. They don't allow that at Disneyland, okay? It's Disneyland, dude.
And now we have people talking about their genitals on video in front of children for children on the internet. Yeah, exactly. Germs are good for you, okay? Got to build up that immune system.
Be careful. They don't allow that at Disneyland, okay? It's Disneyland, dude. I remember thinking that was totally shocking. I'm sure there's like a fentanyl dispenser there now or whatever, but at the time, that was impossible to comprehend. I remember being freaked out by it. I'm never getting high at Disneyland. They'll know. Because everyone at Disneyland is a really upstanding, good person. It wasn't just a thing.
Again, I get that he's like, oh yeah, back in the day. I don't know.
Theme park was a metaphor for California. It was a really good state full of good people. The cops weren't corrupt. The LAPD was I know it's hard to believe now, everyone makes fun of it, but at the time it was the LAPD. They were all people who couldn't make it in Hollywood. They all looked like they were in washed out of the Beach Boys or something, kind of handsome with little mustaches. Sure, you were speeding. Okay.
Definitely before my time.
There's no chance you'd have to pay the guy off. It's the LAPD. The whole state was like that. And it was a reflection of the people who ran the state. Disney was founded by Walt Disney, who was an American and was a creative genius. The guy who created the art owned the company. The most creative person got the richest.
IP rights, Zippy.
And that was before an economy that rewarded lawyers and accountants and DEI consultants and politicians and bureaucrats. People who lack any creativity whatsoever, who in a fair country would be painting your house at best. And in fact, let me retract that. as someone who spent a summer as a house painter and learned that cutting and rolling is actually pretty hard. There's no chance that Gavin Newsom could paint your house. There's no chance. He couldn't. I can just picture him like covered in masking tape and latex and being like, what? How does this work? Yeah.
Nick said in the 80s, there was more commercials for vacations to California than anywhere else in the country. Damn, it really went that bad that fast. Never got to see it. Never got to see it. Bringing you back, Nick. Bringing you back, eh?
You're like, what? How does this work? Yeah. He can consume overpriced wine at the French Laundry. That's his only skill. And he can extort money from you with moral blackmail. And it's not just California, of course. It's not just the United States. It's the entire West. But we have a system designed by people who in a fair country would have no shot at power or wealth.
Go on to say Gavin would go over budget 3x because he'd buy rainbow paint. Oh, right there, the low hanging fruit, but nailed it.
By people.
Oh, come on.
In a fair country would have no shot at power or wealth. And so what they have done systematically is create a system.
I told you guys.
To give themselves power and wealth at the expense of people who actually deserve it, which is to say hardworking, smart, creative people. And Disney is the perfect metaphor for this. So a company was created by a true artistic genius, like actually genius, who drew the cells himself.
Who would be turning in his grave if he saw what they turned it into today.
Who thought of things in his own brain and brought them to the world and changed the perception of America around the world. The Disney companies did. And he ran the company and owned it. And then gradually, like the state itself, Disney was taken over by lawyers and accountants and other bottom feeders, money worshipers, disgusting human beings who hated America. And the town around Disney is still a cool town, but it's not recognizable from the place it was when I was a kid. And a lot of the state isn't. And so how do you fix that? I must say, as someone who spent his life on TV yapping about, ideas, they sent their ideas on cable news.
Cody said Tucker's on the cusp right now. He's losing and helping his audience at the same time. His argument ignores their argument, though. Can you say more on that? Say more on that.
Ideas with, quotation marks around them. Small I ideas. More reflexes than ideas, but whatever.
What?
I don't really think this is an ideological problem. In other words, I don't think you have to be steeped in Austrian economics to fix a place like California or
Dave Smith loves them Austrian economics.
A country like America. You need really one thing, and that's love for the people who live here. It's true. And as the father of four, or any parent in the room can tell you, what's the key to parenthood? Reading the right book about it? Mastering the right parenting technique? I've never met a single parent in my life who reads a ton of parenting books who's a good parent. Not one. They're all weird. And their kids are weird. They have all these theories.
They're weird. And I do want to point out that for when we started, near the end of this, when they first brought RFK out, I was going to complain about the camera bouncing, but I guess they fixed it. And I don't know why I brought that up, but I was gonna, how we talked about the weird angle on Bill Maher's Club Random. They had this weird thing where the camera was just bouncing, and I was going to say something, and then I guess they fixed it. Good job.
Stop. No, you love your kids. That's the key to parenting. And if you love your kids, you're probably not going to be a perfect parent. I certainly wasn't. But if you love them hard enough, you'll come back to the center every time. You will make over time the right decisions about how to raise your kids if you put your love for them at the center of the project.
Makes sense. So the Soul said, I don't think they have to hate America so much as loving money more. I'm not religious. I said, shit, me too. Sorry. I'm not religious, he says, but the saying, you can only serve one master, sometimes rings true. Great. Great. The love of money. It's not money. It's the love of money. That is the root of all evil. Thank God he said that.
Time, the right decisions about how to raise your kids if you put your love for them at the center of the project. I love my child. What should I do? But it's not just parenting that requires that. It's all forms of leadership. From leadership on the battlefield, the officer for his men, in the corporate environment, the CEO for his employees, and in the political sphere.
Look at this stare. He thinks that by just staring at me, that I'm going to do something for him. This motherfucker.
the leader for his people. A leader who loves the people he leads will not systematically mistreat them. He will instead, over time, make basically the right decisions, or decisions that are in the vicinity of the right decisions, which is good enough for me. He'll make mistakes, because we all do, but he won't destroy them. They won't wind up in rehab or wind up living on the street, dying of fentanyl ODs or crapping on the sidewalk.
Facts.
He won't open the borders to people who aren't even from here, who break the law flagrantly, and then send them millions of dollars from the people who work hard legally to give them free phones and plane tickets and housing vouchers and free healthcare. What? No. Any more than he would let random strangers into his own house to take food from his own children because he loves his own children first. That's why. And so the problem that you have.
So Cody said Tucker's on the cusp right now. He's losing and helping his audience at the same time. His argument ignores their argument. So I asked for more. He said the beauty of Tucker is that he was born with money. He was worth a fortune before he decided to make a target on his back with entering journalism. He listened to his audience and learned with them. Oh, okay. That seems to address the helping part. What part is he losing? Matthew King said, yeah, there were ads with surfers and hikers. It was a compelling ad. Made me want to visit. Not sure if I still want to now, though. I don't blame you. Hey, shout out to Nick, Lou, Kitty. Look at the excitement. Are you wagging? Are you wagging your tail? All right, all right, all right. This is from Nick. He said, thank you, thank you, thank you so very, very much. Thank you to Nick Lucchetti, moderator to the stars. Very, very, very much appreciated, sir. And you know Morty loves it.
And so the problem that you have, and it's once again for the 8th time particularly poignant for me as a product of the state, as someone who really loved it in a totally overbearing, arrogant way, as someone who actually may or may not have a bumper sticker that says there's no life east of I-5. Possible I had that. It's so insufferable. Someone should have beat me up for that. I wish someone had. But anyway, the point.
He's good at that, right? He's good at that, right? Like, I can't look at him even now. I can't look at him even now. Like, leave me alone. I know what you want. I can't do it. I can't do it. You're too cute.
Yes, I really love the state. And to see what's happened, you fixate on it. And those of you who still live here who haven't called U-Haul yet, I know that you fixate on it. And so the answer is only to find leaders who care about you, who love you, and who will provide the basic desires of the human heart. And in case you've forgotten what those are, here's what they are. Order.
Please don't say God.
People hate chaos. They don't just hate chaos intellectually, they hate it viscerally. And they have every reason to hate it. In fact, they can't tolerate chaos. And they have every reason to hate it and be intolerant of it, because what is chaos? Chaos is the most visible sign, not of disorganization or disorder, of evil. Chaos is evil. Evil brings chaos.
Okay, so again, Cody's saying the beauty of Tucker is that he was born with money. He listened to his audience and learned with them. Tucker simply doesn't understand his real power. He's trying to appeal to the 85ers. Who are the 85ers? Like people born in 85? But any fan knows he knows much better. He won't alienate his simple crowd in order to gain from his smart crowd. I don't know what you mean, dude. Can you give me examples? What is he saying that he either could say better or shouldn't say because he's pandering? Give me an example, because I'm not saying I disagree. I don't really know what you're referring to.
Of disorganization or disorder, of evil. Chaos is evil. Evil brings chaos.
85, okay. So he simply doesn't understand. Really trying to appeal to the stupid people. But any fan knows he knows much better. He won't alienate his simple crowd in order to gain from his smart crowd. I feel like that's in terms of business, there's a lot more simple people than there are smart people. So I don't know that he's necessarily trying, and I don't know that I would necessarily expect him to be the one to fall on the sword of, I'm going to take less money for this. specifically because of the fact that he comes from money. But I don't know. Cody said pandering to his 85 IQ, but losing sight with the high IQ people. He's trying to balance, but it's a dangerous center now. And so, yeah, Matt, is that what you're saying? That you feel like he's dumbing down his arguments? Because, I mean, I feel like this particular speech, while I say it's pandery in the sense that you're like, hey, we're from California. Isn't California so great? I love California. Remember California? And hey, California. But I don't necessarily know if that applies to other things. At least from my perspective, that's just a single observation here. But if you see other places, yeah, let me know what some examples are. Yeah, someone says to make it there, you have to cater to the average in a sense. There's a lot more dumb people. I mean, we've all seen a bell curve. There's a lot more people in the middle than there are that are really dumb or really smart. So in terms of money, business, and just getting a message out, you have to be able to meet people where they are. Trust me, bro. I used to live here vibes. Yeah, again. But again, I feel like this is this particular speech. I don't know if this is across the board.
What's the first thing God did? He brought order out of what? Chaos. So if you were looking at chaos, a chaotic situation, anywhere, you were looking at a manifestation of evil. Whether the person creating the chaos knows it or not, that's irrelevant. Evil is happening in front of you.
That's a little bit of a stretch, but all right, your Christian thing. Cody says, yes, dumbing down. He pissed off his high IQ group by questioning Churchill, and he goes to the lower group for praise. Smart people start to lose their faith in him. Fair enough. But again, I think this is always who Tucker was going to be. I don't think Tucker was ever going to be the grassroots guy. Like, he came from Fox News. So I don't necessarily disagree, but I also understand, like, in the same way that we talk about how we need to look at politicians in the context that they are politicians. They're not our friends. They're not this, that, whatever. I think I'm agree with you, but I see past that and I'm able to take the benefits of what he is saying, despite the fact that you're right. We got M169 in the building. Welcome to the party. Yep, average IQ has definitely been dropping. People are getting stupid, and that's where the money is. Dumb people.
Evil. Whether the person creating the chaos knows it or not, that's irrelevant. Evil is happening in front of you, and it hurts people more than anything. Okay? People need order and predictability, not fascism. Okay, order and predictability. It's not wrong to want that. It's essential to demand it. Okay. The second thing they want is safety and cleanliness. They don't want to get shot going to the grocery store. They don't want a home invasion. When their car gets broken into, they want the police to find the person who did it and punish him. And they want all these things because those are the main functions of government. They're the reason we have a government. If you're
Cody says that's the beauty. You can't get behind why Tucker does anything. He already has all the money, so he says things, and that's where we get to pick sides. I think he understands where the money is. I agree. Government
can't even respond to a car break-in or an armed robbery or a home invasion or a belligerent mentally ill person crapping on the sidewalk in front of your house. That government has no legitimacy and shouldn't exist. That's the first order of government, to protect you from obvious threats. Not from nicotine pouches or climate change.
He loves those ends.
Come on now. From the mentally ill guy crapping on the sidewalk. That's the number one threat in your life. That's what scares your children. And any government, I'll re-say it, who can't protect you or doesn't care to protect you from that threat is not legitimate and has no right to exist. Period. And the third thing, to restate that every government owes its citizens, who are the owners of that government,
given the conversations we already have, we kind of already are. Not exactly, but kind of.
They're the owners of the government. The government has no legitimacy in a constitutional republic apart from the support of voters. Period. It has no legitimacy. The only legitimacy it possesses is your consent. I'm for this, therefore it's okay. One of the things that means is if you pass a ballot measure demanding something, they have to give it to you. Period. And if they don't give it to you, if they get some judge to take it away from you, that's called tyranny. Just so you know.
Just so you know. Yeah, I agree. I definitely, you know, and this goes back to what I was saying about, you know, putting negative, bad, harmful shit in your body. This is America, Jack. If I want to put harmful shit in my body, put some harmful shit in my body, ain't nobody gonna tell me that I can't. There we go. I don't get I mean, I've never worn Crocs, but I don't get why people hate them so much. Like, they're just fucking shoot. Why do people get so enraged about Crocs? I don't get it. See? I was gonna say this was yeah. Yep. Might as well be.
Period. And if they don't give it to you, if they get some judge to take it away from you, that's called tyranny. Just so you know.
Just so you know.
Sorry. I've seen that happen in the state of California quite a bit. And as a kid, when Howard Jarvis, when Prop 13 came through in 78, whatever you think of it, woo, go Howard Jarvis. There was no thought in the state of California in 1978, I was 9 years old, I remember this very well, that some judge could be like, oh, the majority of Californians wanted something, but I don't want it, therefore they can't have it. I mean, that would not have been allowed in the state. Because that's
Now, that's standard operating procedure.
crazy. The only thing that matters in this or any other state is what the people who live there think. That's the only thing that matters.
Well, I mean, according to the Constitution, like, if you care about the Constitution, then sure.
That's our system of government, right?
Well, among the things.
But the third thing that people want, and that is the hallmark of any functioning and happy society, is fairness. Fairness. Even small children understand when something's unfair. You gave my sister 2 cookies and you only gave me 1.
Okay, but what's wrong with cheap rubber flip-flops? You were alive in the 2010s when every fucking spring, all these bitches go to Old Navy and get 17 different colors of the same flip-flops for $2.99 each. I don't get it. I don't get it. They're fucking shoes. Who cares what other people are wearing? Why do you care if other people are wearing cheap rubber flip-flops? Why does that pull an emotional reaction? I don't get it. I don't get it. Please explain it to me. What is it about seeing a Croc that ties to this is why I'm upset or not happy or have any emotional... Like, why aren't you mad that I'm wearing a red watch? Why, like, it don't fucking work. It's just for show. It stays right here. I take it off after the show, and I put it on before the show. It's for show. I don't get it. Context, as much as I really hate the look, Crocs are really light and easy to put on and remove. About the only draw to them. Oh, you mean like function? The function of it is good? Which is precisely why I don't get that, okay, have y'all forgotten about Uggs? Have y'all forgotten about Uggs? It's in the name. But you'll spend $300 on them. I don't get it. Crocs are the Nickelback of society. Famous, popular, made a fortune, and then one way we decided we don't like it. And we somehow ignore their sales record and question why they are here. Good point. Good point. There's no way. There's no way. Wait, no fucking way. No fucking way. Just going on the official... Oh, sorry. The official Crocs site. I just want some basic... The classics. Okay? Classic... Jesus Christ. Be up in here, because, you know, your boy. And what we can add charms and everything. Oh, that's beautiful. But, like, I don't... It's just... Yeah. But, I mean, again, here's the other thing. If you go to Five Below, guess what they have? Cheap Crocs. And guess what Crocs already are? Cheap. Yeah, exactly. Okay, the flip-flops are... the Crocs definitely are at Dollar Tree. I don't know the last time you went to a Dollar Tree. But I will go there tomorrow, specifically to show you that they have Crocs. They're obviously not Crocs brand. But the point, but to your point, if they're just cheap plastic, then the knockoff ones aren't going to be any different than the name brand ones. He said, I've never looked at a man's shoes. You can sneak Crocs into my life and I won't notice. That seems like a normal reaction to the way that other people choose to adorn their feet.
Understand when something's unfair.
Stay. Come on.
You gave my sister 2 cookies and you only gave me 1. Yeah, you laugh. That'll affect you for the rest of your life. That'll affect the relationship.
Got a pair of barefoot style fabric Crocs, never look back. They're $18 on Amazon and function even better. What is wrong with you people? What is wrong with you people? They're shoes on someone else's feet.
Relationship between siblings more than anything else. Mom favors him. I don't like him. You want to wreck the relationship between your children, which is the worst thing you can do to children? Favor one over the other.
Would you hate it any less? Or would you hate it more for being a knockoff Croc?
Because it's unfair. And kids have an acute sense of fairness that never goes away because it's encoded in who they are. It's in their genes. They were born with it. We know when something's unfair. And the most unfair thing you can do is punish people who are trying their hardest and following the rules. And that would include every single person in this room from the state of California who is held in contempt and loathing by the people who run your state. And maybe it's occurred to you if you still live here, wait a second. I'm not conducting any home invasions. I didn't sneak in here illegally from a foreign country. I pay my freaking taxes. Why?
I mean, most of the people in that state can't even say that anymore.
On what grounds do you hate me? I should be getting the California Medal of Honor. Gavin Newsom should be kissing my feet in the governor's office in Sacramento.
Nick, that's the attitude you better have. That's the attitude you better have.
Thank you, dutiful, ethical Californian, for making this place better, for not throwing the garbage out of the window of your car, for getting car insurance, for not driving drunk, for not joining a street gang, for paying your taxes, for funding this whole grotesque charade we call the government. Thank you.
Not a peep.
But when the governor of the state of California and all the little creepy nameless minions beneath him, all the little puppets of the labor unions who actually run California, tell me if I'm lying, all of those people have total contempt for the productive, creative, dutiful, law-abiding citizens of the state. And so they're moving to Idaho or Texas or Florida to improve those states. And in so doing, they're leaving the graves of their ancestors in the greatest state out of 50, California. They're abandoning the dreams that brought their ancestors to the state. And that dream was based on fairness, the promise that if you do the right thing, you will be rewarded. You will not be punished. They're leaving all of that behind because a small group of freaks want to punish them? No.
Freaks.
Sorry. Anyway, I'll stop with that. We have a lot more, but let me just say, I just want to say, I admire you, those who have stayed. I admire your principle. I admire your grit, your toughness, your perseverance, your resolve. I like it here. I grew up here, and I'm not leaving. I don't care what kind of freak occupies the governor's mansion.
All right, and then he brings out Vivek, and we are not going to have time for that. But, of course, if you are not familiar with what Vivek Ramaswamy stands for, you can check the link to the full discussion in the description below. But that is going to do it for us here on YouTube tonight. But that doesn't mean that the party is over. The party rages on over in Discord. That is right. Even if you're not a member, we're still going to be over there. But those of you who are members of this channel, it's time for the after party. That's right. You can just go over there and join the voice chat. I will be over there very, very shortly, and we gonna get into it. Shit that we cannot say over here. And on M169 said, I like Tucker, but that laugh, so annoying. It definitely is, but it's unique, and that's ableist. He can't help it. I don't know. But thank you so very, very much, guys. Oh my goodness, you guys were so gracious tonight. I can't tell you how much I really, really, really do appreciate each and every one of you guys has really come through for me. And of course, our sponsor, Funk Master General. Thank you so very much. Matthew, come on over to the after party, brother. We want to see you all there. The link is in the description. It is free to join, even if you are not a member. Even if you don't ever plan on becoming a member, you can level up and get all of those privileges just by engaging in the conversation. So once again, I want to extend a huge thank you to each and every one of you guys. Thank you so very much for hanging out with me. Once again, I've been your host, Lech, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys, we are out of here. Peace.